Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people, and people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
All right, welcome back from lunch. It was a short break, but it's over now. It's over. Everyone back to your seats. Back to your seats. Order in the court. All right, I see everyone is taking their seats. Thank you so much. Oh, she found out. She did definitely find out. You know who else found out? Kimar. Kimar found out that being first in chat brings a prize, punishment, or penalty. Kim, you're being sentenced. You're being sentenced for your crime. We found you guilty of being first in chat, and as such, you will be responsible for everything IP related until we go live again tomorrow morning. So, Kim, you've won before. I know you can do it. You've already got your internet buttons at the ready. I see those. So we will trust the internet to your capable hands. Thank you very much. I will have you say, I will say though, that Greeners. Let's let the music die down here for a second. Greeners obeyed the letter of the law and actually said anything in chat. When I said you have to just type anything in chat and then you can win, and Greeners was the first person to type anything. So Kim, if you need like a fill-in person to help you with the internet this afternoon, Greeners is also guilty. All right, we are excited. We're excited for this. We're so close. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We are, I believe, at this point, 24 hours from the defense resting. 24 hours. That's very close. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're excited. Mr. Anderson is gone. Ms. Lawrence has taken first chair. She may even have something to do. Somebody says, "Hey, did you have candy for lunch?" Ashley, I have something to say about candy. You know, as we do, first of all, if you followed before, we bought 25 pounds of candy for Halloween. 25 pounds of candy. We're live. You're live. You're live. There you're live. Okay. All right. We are professionals. We bought 25. Thanks, Mrs. R.A. Oh, she's okay. I apologize. Bought 25 pounds of candy for Halloween, and some had to be tested. I gave 10 pounds away at a trunk or treat. Some had to be tested to make sure it was good, and so another 10 pounds might have somehow been eaten, consumed. We went and we bought another 15 pounds of candy, and now one of the
scratch bags, all that. Oh, that was terrible.
One of the bags is gone as well. I don't know where it's going. I don't. But today I was, after lunch, I did grab some candy. I grabbed some Whoppers and Reese's out of the mix bag, and I just noticed that both the Reese's and the Whoppers have shrunk by like 2/3 since what the size they were made last year.
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
Everything has shrunk. The bag is still the same, quantity in it as number of pieces, but the weight or the size of the candy inside is much smaller. So I feel I've been cheated. Anyway, as it is right now, I don't think we have enough candy for the trick-or-treaters who will come to our house because, yes, our house is on a little street where it receives a lot of trick-or-treaters. People come from several towns away to trick-or-treat on our street. It's definitely not for the decorations we put out because we have not put out anything at all. Although I do have my soundboard out. And as soon as the live stream ends today, I'm going to go set up the sound system so we can do like the monster voice in the yard. We hide the speakers in the bushes and everything and scare people to death. And then we'll just give away candy and cockroaches for the rest of the evening. All right. That being said, we are ready to go back to court. We have about 5 minutes before the judge walks through that door right there. I love Whoppers. I love them as well, but now they're mini. They're Whopper minis. I don't know what what's happening, but all the candy went small. The little Snickers, the little tiny, what are they called? The fun size. They're less fun than they used to be.
Scratch all that.
They're
That was
tiny.
terrible. I apologize.
Dum Dums have shrunk. I have not seen that. We bought lots. We got a huge bag of Dum Dums, like a couple hundred Dum Dums. But I will check those as well. Are you saying maybe the cat ate the candy? I'm just saying it's not here anymore, and there are a lot of wrappers in the garbage. I don't know what happened, but the scale says that I might be guilty. Anyway, yes, we're gonna give away tons of candy tonight for sure. Roaming around, morning from Alaska. Good morning to you as well. Alaska was on my bucket list. It still is. I've not made it up there. It's called shrinkflation. I realize that as I grow older and bigger, things that were big when I was little appear smaller. That's not what's happening here. These are actually smaller. They're actually smaller. All right, we are getting ready to jump back to court.
Bring the jury.
Let me get everything set up on my end. Okay, that one's ready. Ready here. As far as objections go, we have this many. We're up to 1608. Let's see where our count is for those that are in the running for a hoodie. Let's see here. I need DSK2. There it is. Okay. This is a downstream keyer for those that are curious. We're scrolling through names. 1,000. We need to go all the way to 1,600, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, and right about here we'll hit play just to show you where we're at. 1,600 is right here. Sequin, Carrie, Miss Beasy, Barbara, Jules O. There we are. Whoa, there it was. I just knocked water over. It's okay. It's a good thing I wasn't open. We have our current winner right now is Karma Venezuela, and is that Megan Easton? Megan Easton. So those are our winners as it stands right now. If the trial were to end right now, that's who would win. But let's see. Ivan Victor's. Ivan says, "Hey, I'll appreciate everything this channel RA and the chat offer me in my day-to-day. I know I can be a pain, but thank you to the mods as well. I promise to keep being better. Love you all." Ivan, thank you very much. Good friend of the program, good friend off air as well. So thank you, Ivan. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for your super generous super chat as well. So Megan Easton, you're in the lead. If Megan's in the chat, that's exciting. But we'll keep an eye on that as it inevitably will go higher. We'll go higher. Wendy says 1690. Okay. That's my number. 1690. All right. It's cold outside. Just for those, it started out as 55 degrees. It's now 60. It's downright chilly. That means that I still have the fan on in my office, but it's all good. All right. Anything we need to cover regarding the trial, or any questions you have regarding the trial before we start? Defense still has a couple more witnesses. I think at least one more witness today, possibly two. We've already had 2 depots and 1 live, and then we'll probably have two depots or 2 lives tomorrow, and then on to rebuttal. I love the cold. I miss ice fishing. I really miss ice fishing. Of course, I don't have any of my ice fishing gear anymore except for my suit that keeps me warm. But I've got my boots and my suit. I don't think I'm going to have hat or gloves anymore. But it's a great temp for an ocean dip. Yes, seriously. The ocean right now is about 70 degrees, 71 degrees last weekend when we went to the ocean. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. It's good weather. What does 403 mean? Great question, Must Love Java. 403 is citing a rule, and the rule basically says when evidence is more prejudicial than probative, meaning it'll make them look bad, but is not really valuable for its evidentiary value, it can be excluded because of 403, Rule 403. So more prejudicial than probative. Okay, who was laughing? Those are just some commands we have that are triggered. We turn them off here when it starts. Most of those commands can be triggered by anyone, including just subscribers. You don't have to be a member to trigger them. The only member-only command we have is the seat command, reserved seating just for members, unfortunately. But that was the last one you just heard. The jury
Is that correct?
just triggered that one. So is that correct? It was triggered by that one. Bring the jury is this one by Marissa. Court is now in session. That's Harry Smith. So those, you guys are triggering those commands. The one I have not seen used very much. I have seen lurk used a lot, but I have not seen creep used a lot, especially for Halloween. I thought that would be used a little bit more than lurk, but that's also out there. All right.
I'm not a camel.
Judge Brewer has been hearing the Petito laundry case. I thought it was going to be Judge Carroll. Did I have that mixed up?
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
Lots of sounds here. There's creep. See? I'm not sure why it says this court is too spicy for little ears. It's supposed to just say this one. Something about the way the Weather Watch is lurking in the shadows is a little creepy. But the rest of you all got this second. I need to fix that. That's my problem. Here come all the creeps. All right.
Squirrel.
Then as we get set for court, let's jump back. It's supposed to only work. Most of these commands only work every minute. I put a timer on them, and some of them have like a secondary response. So during that first minute, if you try to use it again, it will give you a second response before it sort of resets.
I'm not a camel.
All right. That being said, I think we're giving Lumia Stream a run for its money with those commands. We should have the judge back any minute now. I thought he said 10 after. Let's see. I'm not seeing any activity yet. Have you seen anything?
Back, taking it easy.
Have you seen anything about the other case Whitney and Anderson are bringing forth against Sally Smith and Jay Hatch? Culperistic, I think. Are you talking about Sally Smith and Suncoast? Because they settled that one, I thought, for $2.5 million. I thought Sally Smith was out of the picture. Now there might be something coming down the road. I don't know if they want to pursue something with Kathy Beatty individually, and maybe I'm not sure if Jay Hatch would be involved in that one at all. There's another case involving another family. I have not followed that at all. Wendy's ready for this afternoon. Love the sound commands. Yes, we turn those off when court starts because we don't want it to be distracting. But I have chocolate, Kim. I have plenty of chocolate. Let me check the Zoom. Oh, the door just opened, so I think we're ready to go.
Okay, before we address exhibits on the Kushner reconsideration motion, I do believe that in light of Dr. Smith's testimony,
it's coming in.
The court will allow
new witness,
very limited testimony by the Kushners.
This is
on
the lab coat
issue of
this is the lab coat.
What Sally Smith wore or said when she came in. We are not, however, going into everything else that the Kushners may have or may not have experienced because of it. So it's going to be a couple of questions, and then that's it.
Understood. Just for the record, the Kushners' interactions in the hospital and Sally Smith were in August 2018, over almost 2 years after.
So I will allow it, but
it will be targeted.
I don't know if this is you or Mr. Anderson or Miss Lawrence.
I don't know
witness.
until he tells me either. So.
Okay.
Please make it be.
It's got to be
tight.
So
it's got to
very
be
narrow.
tight.
Understood.
Okay. What's next?
That's
Our
big.
owner,
Exhibits?
for exhibits, yes. We would like to admit photographs 3404 1A. There's 3 of them that we're seeking to admit. They're recent social media postings. If you want to put those up. This was taken within I think within the last week. We can get it authenticated as to the exact date. And I can show you, I don't know if there's an objection or not.
How many are there?
There's 3.
Can we see them?
Sure. 3404 1A, 3404 2A.
Homecoming pictures.
And 3404 6A.
From Venice High School.
And this one would be from Halloween, I think, over the weekend. It was posted to social media. Any objection?
Yes. Why are there only 243 likes?
I'll make the proffer. These are extremely important to the defense. On direct examination of Maya Kowalski on October 13th, I need a copy of the transcript, Your Honor.
No.
On a direct examination of Maya Kowalski, she was asked about her aggravation of symptoms, and of course, in a medical malpractice trial where they're claiming aggravation, it's up to the plaintiff to be able to say this is what her baseline was, and this is how she's doing now. This was the question she was asked. Well, they actually asked it about 8 different occasions. But here's one that's specific. Page 19. How does that affect your desire to want or go out and do things? Answer. It's hard because, I'm a teenager, so I like to go out with my friends, but at the same time, I avoid a lot of things. And I've never told anyone about what happened to me until, now it's pretty public, but none of my friends knew, so they probably just thought it was weird, I was being dramatic, but in reality, I just have really bad PTSD. Page 20, question, and that probably makes you, if there's a decision to go out when you don't feel so hot physically, does it add to it? Answer, for sure, yes. Page 40, I want to talk about your loss of capacity to enjoy life. Let's talk about making friends. Let's talk about making new friends. How's that going? Have you met a guy you like? Answer, well, I recently made a new friend. He's understanding. But sometimes I'll really want to go out, but at the last minute I'll cancel.
Mr. Shapiro, I remember the testimony. I don't need you to read it, so
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to say
Well, I'd be happy to read the case law. The case law is on all fours that in personal injury cases where the plaintiff is seeking intangible damages, the finder of fact is required to examine the quality of the plaintiff's life before and after the accident. It would take a great novelist like Tolstoy, Dickens, or Hemingway to use words to summarize the totality. If a photograph is worth 1,000 words, there's no better portrayal of what an individual's life was like than through photographs the individual has chosen to share through social media. And so these photographs are absolutely crucial to the defense of this case. Maya Kowalski has come to trial and testified that as a result of what All Children's has done, that she doesn't go out, that she doesn't know if she can go to college, that she doesn't know if she can go back to her school, that her quality of life is now limited or destroyed. For the first time at this trial, we're hearing for the first time, she doesn't even know if she's going to go to college. We've been prohibited from putting a single photograph in front of this jury in 2023. And I can think of nothing more important than for the jury to see she's out like a teenager. She's at homecoming, she's at prom, she looks healthy. It's a totally different depiction than what's been going on in this court. I respectfully can't foresee a reason how this would not be not just relevant to rebut the claims that she's made in this court, but absolutely necessary for us to be able to tell the jury, this is the life of Maya Kowalski today. We did not aggravate a pre-existing condition. She's out at prom, she's out in heels, has friends. It's a complete contradiction to her testimony. I struggle to see how this wouldn't be relevant.
Your Honor, first, the case cited there spoke of social media posts that the plaintiff has chosen to share. I'll point out first that these are not photos Maya Kowalski chose to share. Number 2, the 3 photographs be cumulative. We would suggest that 1 photograph may be probative. Number 3, there's a 403 issue, and it's in poor taste to put in number 1 and number 3. We think number 2 is the most appropriate. They can establish through number 2, if we go back to it, please, which is the photo reel of her and her current boyfriend, that she indeed went to homecoming 2023, and she appears to be having a good time. They can make that point through that photograph. They do not need one of her friends dressed up as fairies on Halloween, or number 1 either. They're not appropriate. So we object to the cumulativeness. We object to 403 based on number 1 and number 3, perhaps 404. That's our position.
I'll give you the first 2 photos, but you're not getting the 3rd photo on cumulative and 403 grounds.
Okay, thank you.
So first 2 are coming in.
Miss Krause,
Oh, yes.
or whoever's doing exhibits.
Yes. I think we're down to a couple here, Judge. On 3023, that's just needs redaction. We've agreed on what they are. I just need to have it done and show them tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the one with the on 3192, the one with the letter, smarter people than I figured out how we should do that. So I think I was saying we'll make 1A, but instead what we've done, and we have it and we've marked it, is 3192, page 1 and page 2. That's the email with the letter. It's up, Your Honor.
Okay, 3192, 1 and 2. Any objection as it's presented here?
No, Your Honor.
Court receives 3192-1 and -2.
Okay. 30. Can I ask a different question, Judge? Because we want to get this exhibit list ready, and there's only a couple more, and if necessary, we can do them in the morning. But I really want to address that we get right the list and how it's going to be presented to the jury, because we have to work on that. Can I hand the court? So this is Excel spreadsheets don't print out great, but this is an example of an Excel spreadsheet that we created for Exhibit 1001. And so you may recall, if you turn the page, Judge, that top page on page 2 is a little messed up. I think we'll fix that. But then you can see it goes to 1002, which is not broken out, right? So we're struggling with how do we give an index type thing for the jury for 1001. That's the 1,000 pages of all children's records. And so this is what we came up with, and I want to make sure that's what you were thinking. If not, we need to adjust.
I mean, to me, the interior pages, you probably should put it in the next column over. It might be easier, but...
I'm not quite following you.
Okay, on Excel, you've got rows and columns.
Right.
So if right here is the main number,
yes,
then your sub number just the next.
In the same row. You're saying put the sub numbers in the same row.
Just put another column in there.
Before the description. Before the description, you're saying.
Well, you could do it before the description or in the same row. When I say a different row, it's, you've got the cells at the top, A, B, C, and D. If this is A, maybe the sub number should be in B.
Okay. And then the description in C?
In C.
Okay. Input.
Judge is like, this is Excel 101.
Okay, I've gotten carte blanche. I like it. All right, so I understand. All right, so we will work on that. My goal, Judge, is to get that together and over to the other side. We may have some disagreements about language of the description, and I just don't know if we can get that done between now and tomorrow. So as long as we work over the weekend on the as long as the formatting was agreed to, that was the main thing.
The issue, though, is if I'm not seeing it, if the clerk's not seeing it for the first time until Monday, and we do closing arguments on Monday, with jury deliberations beginning Tuesday morning, it doesn't give the clerk's office any time.
Understood. And so when we're putting this in Excel, the intent, though, that we would be printing these for the jury, for the clerk and for the jury?
Well, the intent was there would be something in paper and then a little thumb drive that they could search it electronically if they were so inclined.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you don't need all these graphics. Just exhibit number.
Yeah, I don't know why the graphics on there. I didn't request that.
I don't think you should have separate lists for joint and separate lists for defense and a separate for plaintiffs.
Okay.
Put them all, your exhibit numbers, just make them chronological and.
All right, so we don't have to identify whether it's a joint exhibit, a plaintiff's exhibit, or a defense exhibit, Judge? Just put it chronological?
Just put it,
as far as exhibit. Well,
sheet.
the exhibit number's changed depending on that. So the way we had it, again, just because we have a short time, I'll make sure I get this right. We have on the Excel 3 tabs, joint, plaintiff, defense, that they could click on to bring it up. But you're saying just one tab and just longer.
It's going to be a lot easier if it's in one sheet.
Okay.
I don't know the inner workings of the courthouse. Will the clerks be here on Thursday morning when we have our discussion on this?
Yes.
I suggest that if they give it to us tomorrow afternoon, we will work on it overnight and have it ready Thursday morning for the court to resolve any disagreements on language.
Yeah, they'll be here Thursday.
Okay. We'll do our best. All right.
Any other exhibits?
I think what she's doing right now is very important for the jury.
3226, 3 and 4. I feel like we did this one, but maybe. So the purpose of this, Judge, is Maya Kowalski's description. We can take the photo out if you want, but it's the. Can you make that larger, please, Clay? The words. So this was posted and is her description of her disease, and it's also her description of her time at Tampa General.
So you're asking, this is asking for money?
We can take out, we can take out the money part if you want. Let's see. I think she's asking them to tag Megan Trainor. I don't see an ask for money, because I missed it.
I have RSD and no money.
Oh, where's that?
So if anyone wants to, please visit the link in my bio and please donate.
Where? We can take that out.
They were literally asking to put this in. They don't know what's in it.
We could start with it all started July 3rd when I had my asthma attack, Judge. It's her description.
What is it that we're trying to use here?
Well, I think there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of evidence regarding her stay at Tampa General Hospital. This is her description of what occurred at that hospital.
And what day is this from again?
Can you go back, Clay? Sorry. Can you make it smaller so we have the date?
Page.
We'd have to probably tweet it. We'll have to find a Judge, but it was same.
It was a jump in time, just briefly.
October 2016.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Gonna raise some volume here.
Relevance 403, cumulative. The jury's already aware that she likes Megan Trainor. There's a song and video of her dancing to Megan Trainor. The jury's already aware through the medical records of Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital and those at Tampa General Hospital that she had a distinct hatred for that program. This adds nothing. It's cumulative of other evidence. It's not probative of anything. And the prejudice would be What they want to do, I believe, is the statement of freaking wrong. They want to establish, again, that Maya used profanity or close to profanity. Again, so what?
No.
What's that probative of?
That didn't even cross my mind, Judge, to be honest. I wish the plaintiff would stop giving me.
I will say I probably have heard, I don't know how many witnesses where it seems like there's been a humongous emphasis on profanity.
That wasn't...
I'm saying, because like yesterday, that witness from yesterday, the nurse, I mean, almost all of that, with the exception of like one issue, was stuff we've already heard of many times. And so Judge, I'm trying to see what this does.
Here's what this has to do with, Judge. This whole case is based on a 10-year-old girl's recollection of what happened to her in this hospital. No one else witnessed everything she talked about. The dad's testimony is based on what Maya told him. Everything is based on a 10-year-old girl's recollection 8 years later or whatever on what happened to her in that hospital. This is her recollection of what happened to her at Tampa General Hospital. And I think it's important that the jury see her perspective of what happened in Tampa General Hospital as well. Because the whole case is based on her recollection. Everything about Kathy Beatty is based on Maya's 10-year-old testimony about what happened. This is her recollection of how poorly she was treated at Tampa General Hospital. It goes to her state of mind. It goes to that issue, and I think that's why it's relevant. It had nothing to do with the fact that she used freaking. I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Well, the problem is this case
and
that
when
we're
her RSD started. Sorry.
Is there any doubt that July 2015 date is? I mean, is anyone disputing that?
Yes, there's also evidence already in from the mom saying it started earlier than that. It's my recollection that started in June. And they also are alleging that it started from a twisted ankle that happened quite some time ago. And they're saying that it was a slow build. It didn't start right away. There's evidence that, yes, it did start right away. It's all over the map, Judge. And this is further evidence of that. But again,
how does that talk to us about medical malpractice that either did or did not happen in October of 2016 in Johns Hopkins Hospital, which is not even in the same county? How does it talk to us about what happened in that hospital as far as battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress and false imprisonment? I don't see how this is anything other than cumulative.
Because, Judge, this is Maya's own words, as opposed to her mother, as opposed to her dad. This is Maya's own words, and her description of what happened to her at Tampa General Hospital. It shows her state of mind. It shows what causes her to believe that that was the worst thing that ever happened to her.
This is before the hospitalization at Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Yes, but it shows her perspective. Because this whole case is based on that.
I'm sorry, Ms. Cross. You got this evidence in 14 different ways already.
All right, we'll proffer it, please.
What's next?
1 second, please.
Because the jury is here and ready to go.
Oh, okay, Judge. I think the other one that we have to talk about is the performance evaluations. That's going to take a few minutes, I believe.
Okay.
So we don't need it for today. We don't need any of the others for today.
Well, after we let the jury go, let's see if there's any time to address any more exhibits, because we are desperately short of time.
We only have like two, I think, 2 or 3. And I would say, Judge, the clerk advised me that 3035 has already been admitted. That was admitted on October 20th.
The Moore's Children's Hospital records?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. We ready to bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's bring in the jury.
Yes, sir.
The big takeaway from that little exchange, first of all, the defense won getting a couple pictures in that show Maya present day having fun, living life, or at least that's how the pictures portray it. So that's a little win for them because they want to say, hey, she didn't really lose anything from this. There's no damages. But the big thing is the family.
Members of the jury, I want to confirm while you're away, you did not discuss this case amongst yourselves. You did no investigation and received no information. Is that all correct?
Correct.
And no one approached you about this case. Is that correct?
Correct.
And no media involvement. Is that correct?
Correct.
From the defense, who's next?
Defense calls Dr. Jenny Dolan.
Suar Mama Susu, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I love being able to hear the bailiff as he calls the name out in the hallway.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear.
We'll talk about it at the break.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Remind me.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state your name for the jury, please?
I'm Jenny Dolan. I'm Dr. Dolan.
And what is your current position?
I'm the chief of pediatric anesthesia at Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Can you please provide the jury with the benefit of your education, training, and background from where you went to school, all the way through residency, fellowship, that type of thing?
I did medical school in Colombia. I went to a Jesuit private medical school. The name was Javeriana University. It was an 8-year medical program. After I finished with medical school, then I did my social service year at the same institution. I was the director of the laboratory of physiology, and I was a physiology instructor for the School of Medicine. During that same year, I also did a program in business administration. Then, after I finished with my social service year, I moved to the U.S. and I did my surgical internship at Jackson Memorial Hospital with the University of Miami, followed by a 3-year residency program in anesthesia. Again at the University of Miami, and then I did a pediatric anesthesia fellowship with the Jackson Memorial and Miami Children's, and with the University of Miami. And in the last 5 years, I obtained a master's in public health from the George Washington University in D.C.
Can you tell the jury what your board certifications are?
I'm a board certified anesthesiologist, and I'm also a board certified pediatric anesthesiologist.
And do you contribute to any national organizations in your field of pediatric anesthesiology?
Yes, I am an active member at the national level. I am an active member of the Society of Pediatric Anesthesia. I am also a member of the Committee of Pediatrics in the Florida Society of Anesthesia, and I am a voting member of an organization that is called Wake Up Safe, which is the safety arm of the Society of Pediatric Anesthesia. And this organization is dedicated to provide and enhance and for the betterment of the pediatric patient under anesthesia care.
What about committees at All Children's Hospital where you're currently employed? Do you contribute to any committees and things of that nature?
I belong to multiple committees. I would say the few more important ones will be performance patient improvement program that's called PIPS. I work closely with surgeons in the same thing, improving the care of the surgical patient undergoing pediatric general anesthesia. Then I'm the leading anesthesiologist in something that is called COSP, which is Comprehensive Unit-Based SAFE Program. We use teamwork. We use the science of safety, and we identify opportunities for improvement. So I am heavily involved in safety and quality, and I'm also a member of the Controlled Substance Committee, where we monitor the use of controlled substance throughout the institution, and we make sure that we follow the regulations.
Dr. Dolan, have you contributed to the literature in your field of pediatric anesthesiology? And you don't have to list every publication, but if you could tell the jury a little bit about your contribution to the scholarship in your field.
I have two publications in pain. One of them is a randomized control study, which what it means is that it is important, is good, you know. The basis of the research is good. And my last two publications, one is where we use the theory of change and visual analytics and data to improve the management of controlled substances in the perioperative area. And then my last publication, it was on June and this summer, and it's in the main journal of pediatric anesthesia, and it is about cardiovascular arrest in the pediatric population.
Dr. Dolan, are you familiar with the use of ketamine in pediatric patients?
I'm very familiar with ketamine. Ketamine is a drug that we use frequently. It's part of our education. In general, it's something that we are very familiar with it.
In your experience, is ketamine used for the treatment of pediatric CRPS?
It's not the first line of treatment. In general, you try to use other therapeutic measures that don't involve medication. The standard of care of CRPS in the pediatric population.
May we approach?
Yes.
I'm not sure what Whitney has found here, but he's not liking this line of testimony. I'm always impressed when you have a doctor who's trained in one part of the world and is a medical expert in that country, and then comes to another country and is a medical expert where you also have a language barrier. It's hard enough for me to fathom being able to fluently converse in another language, but to be an expert in your field, it's awesome. So I'm impressed by that. Not a first line. Yes, I don't think that that ketamine was a first line for Maya in her record, so I don't think that's a jab at her at all. Whitney is the best. Whitney is going to cross. Yes. That's what we expect. Not the first line of treatment. Ooh, standard of care. Little Miss, welcome to the gallery. Okay, in Zoom they're done, so they're coming back here right now.
Dr. Dolan, in your experience as a pediatric anesthesiologist, what are the treatment modalities that you're familiar with for the treatment of pediatric CRPS?
Physical therapy, occupational therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy.
Have you ever, in your experience, have you seen high-dose, anesthetic dose ketamine used for the treatment of pediatric CRPS?
Never in my almost 20 years of pediatric experience.
Was there a time that you came to render care and treatment to Maya Kowalski at All Children's Hospital on October 7 of 2016?
Yes.
Who on your pain team at All Children's Hospital first encountered Maya Kowalski on October 7 of 2016?
From my pain team, that will be my nurse practitioner, Kay Rhodes.
And so Nurse Rhodes was the first person to talk to the family and see Maya?
Correct.
And that was on October 7th?
Correct.
After your nurse practitioner met with Maya and her family, can you describe your initial investigation into Maya's care before you actually saw Maya?
Yes, my nurse practitioner had spoken with the family, and then she also had a conversation over the phone with the pain doctor that was taking care of them. She showed me the information, and it was my understanding that.
Objection, hearsay. Sustained.
At any point, did you come to know the doses that Dr. Hanna had administered to Maya Kowalski the day before she came to All Children's Hospital on October 7, 2016?
Yes.
Hearsay. She can answer that.
Yes, I myself called Dr. Hanna.
And what was your understanding of the doses that Dr. Hanna was providing to Maya Kowalski the day prior to her arrival at Johns Hopkins?
My understanding was that he was giving 1,250 milligrams of ketamine. He gave 4 milligrams of Versed, 1,750 milligrams of magnesium sulfate, and he said that he gave them over 4 hours. And it was my understanding that he no longer felt safe or comfortable and that the treatment had failed. And that's why he was sending her to us.
And we'll get to your documentation from October 7th later, but did you enter into your note on October 7th what you just testified to the jury about Dr. Hanna's dosing?
Correct.
Did you do any other investigation into Maya's case after talking with Dr. Hanna before you saw Maya on October 7th?
Yeah, the first thing, when I saw when my nurse practitioner spoke to me, I thought that she made a mistake. Then after I spoke with him, I was very alarmed by the doses. Those are lethal, toxic doses, what she was getting. And I was very concerned, but at the same time, I questioned myself. I said, well, maybe this is something that I just don't know. Maybe this is something in the adult pain world. So I called one of my colleagues from residency. Then I also called, and he's an adult pain doctor. Then I also called Dr. Richard Elliott, who is a pediatric anesthesiologist and pain management doctor. And I confirmed my beliefs that those doses, that my concerns were real, And after I spoke with them, then I did my own literature search.
And after this investigation, did you arrive at a conclusion about the propriety of the doses that Dr. Hanna was administering the day before?
Objection. Sustained.
Did you have some concerns about the doses that Dr. Hanna was using?
Absolutely.
I'm going to overrule that objection.
Why don't we segue now, move over towards your first encounter with Maya Kowalski and her family on October 7th. Do you have an independent recollection of that initial encounter?
Yes, I went to the room. The first time I saw Maya awake, she was very pale, thin, agitated. She had big dark circles around her eyes. She was in the middle of the bed with her mom by her side, she was trembling, she was screaming, she was angry, she was crying, she was unconsolable. Sometimes she was like in a rage. It was like a very dramatic scene, you know. Then the communication with the family was difficult during that time.
At this point, I'd like to pull up part of your note from October 7th and highlight one portion of it for the jury. This can be found at Joint Exhibit 1001-51, Clay. And we're going to be highlighting, it's in the first third of the page, we're going to highlight the history of present illness, pain assessment, all the way down to medication request. And Dr. Dolan, if you could please read that. I have a couple of follow-ups for you. Okay.
The whole thing?
Yeah, please, just take a moment to read it.
Read it to yourself.
Read it to yourself while the jury reads it, and I'll follow up.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It says Maya was sleeping during the team's interview with the parents. Per RN, she actually fell asleep prior to Precedex infusion. Prior to this, Maya was reported screaming and flailing about, and severe pain was out of control. She reached a total of 100 milligrams ketamine, 1,400 milligrams magnesium sulfated, and 4.8 milligrams versed in EC. Also of note, spoke with Dr. Hannan yesterday. She received 1,250 milligrams ketamine and 50 milligrams lidocaine, 1,750 milligram magnesium sulfate, and 4 milligram versed infusion over 4 hours that did not break her pain cycle.
In addition to Maya Kowalski's treatment with Dr. Hanna, did you also come to learn a little bit more about her past medical treatments with ketamine? And if so, please tell the jury what those were.
Yes, I was told that she was taken for a ketamine coma to Mexico twice.
Had you ever heard of a ketamine coma prior to October 7 of 2016?
No, never.
Was there another medication request that the mother made on October 7th of 2016 for you to consider?
She asked me to put a caudal catheter, and she also asked me for an intrathecal clonidine infusion. An intrathecal clonidine pump.
Can you describe that for the jury, what an intrathecal clonidine pump is, where it goes, what it does, that type of thing?
So an intrathecal pump is a little device, but that device has a catheter that it is placed surgically into the space surrounding the central nervous system. The brain and the spine are part of the nervous system. And the brain and the spine is surrounded by a fluid that is called the CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid. And that catheter goes, the idea is that it goes into that fluid. And then that little pump, it will infuse that medication or whatever medication you decide to give. Those are more or less the basis of the procedure. It's an invasive procedure in the CSF. It has important risk, meningitis, severe infection, migration of the catheter, obstruction of the CSF. That CSF is constantly flowing around your brain and your spine, and those devices can obstruct the flow. The other thing that it could also happen is that the pump malfunctions, and it can give an overdose of the drug, or that it can create, because it's a foreign body that is not supposed to be there, also the body tries to reject it, and it can produce something that is called a granuloma, which can also obstruct the flow of the CSF.
Did at any point you advise Mrs. Kowalski about what you thought about the intrathecal clonidine pump she was requesting?
Yes, I told her that we didn't recommend it and that we didn't do that at our institution. And if she wanted to have that done, she would have to look for another place.
Were you willing to help her find another institution that perhaps would place an intrathecal clonidine pump?
Yeah. Yes.
So my understanding is you came up with a treatment plan both in the short term to deal with Maya's acute pain in both a long term to deal with her pain problem, why don't you tell the jury what type of treatment plan you came up for to treat the acute pain issue Maya was experiencing on October 7th?
So
Objection, leading, compound, sustained.
Did you have a short-term plan to treat Maya's acute pain on October 7th? And if so, please tell the jury.
So we had an acute situation. She came very agitated. She came with severe generalized pain. She hasn't eaten or drinking for more than 5 days. She was demonstrating signs of withdrawal also and toxicity. So we needed to treat those three things: the pain, then the agitation, and then the toxicity and the withdrawal. And also we needed to stabilize her.
So what did you choose to do for the acute pain, what I'll call the short-term plan?
So we had a discussion with the parents and also with the PQ team, and we came out together with a plan.
And why don't you describe for the jury what that plan consisted of?
So the plan was to treat her pain. So I used an infusion of ketamine at a lower doses, normal therapeutic ranges. So I planned to start with that. With that, the logic was that I was treating the pain, and I was also helping with the withdrawal symptoms, and I was weaning her medication. Then the other medication that I added, it is called propofol, which is a pure sedative anesthetic medication that was purely for the agitation, and the plan was to just have it for the initial time, like for 4 hours. And then I added another medication that is called Precedex, which is also an analgesic, so it helps with the pain, but this is a medication that we heavily rely to treat symptoms of withdrawal. It treats the agitation and helps us with the withdrawal symptoms.
Did you also formulate a plan to treat Maya's pain issues on a longer-term basis once you got the immediate pain under control?
So I also informed the parents that the standard of care in the pediatric population.
Sustained.
Can you just tell the jury what long-term plan you came up with without reference to any standard of care issues?
So the treatment for pediatric anesthesia for CRPS in the pediatric.
Sustained.
Can you just tell them what you decided to do in terms of a plan for Maya Kowalski's long-term pain treatment?
After she will come out of the unit, the plan was for physical therapy, occupational therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy.
And why was it that you chose that plan of action for Maya's pain disorder?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did Mrs. Kowalski respond at all to your recommendation for psychiatric involvement?
No, she actually got really upset. Both of them got very upset. She at some point they used foul language, but she also said, "We are not crazy. We don't need that." I said, "It's not that I believe that you are crazy. It is that you are living with the burden of a chronic condition, and you and your family need the coping mechanism to help with this process."
Now, what was your understanding of Maya Kowalski's diagnosis when she came in to Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital as determined by outside physicians?
That she had CRPS. She was diagnosed by an outside physician with CRPS. We took it as the truth, and we started managing it.
So when you began your management of Maya Kowalski, you did so with the belief that she had CRPS?
Correct. We accepted the outside facility, the outside doctor diagnosis.
And
she's not an expert, not a certified expert licensed to testify.
After October 7th, did you have an opportunity to provide care and treatment for Maya Kowalski a few days later?
Yes, I took care of her again on Sunday.
Okay, and that would have been October 9th?
Correct.
What do you remember about that interaction with Maya Kowalski and her family?
Objection, calls for narrative. Break it up.
Yeah. Do you have an independent recollection of your care and treatment of Maya Kowalski on October 9th?
She was doing better. She was calmer. I was able to talk to her. I was able to perform an examination. I felt that she was doing better.
What do you mean when you say she was doing better?
She wasn't agitated. She wasn't restless. She didn't have the palpitations. Like at the beginning, the first day, she was saying, "I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm dying." On Sunday, it was completely different. My nurse practitioner and me, we were able to have the chat that you can have with a 10-year-old.
Now, as of Sunday, October 9th, was Maya Kowalski still receiving infusions of some medications at that point?
Yes.
And which medications was she receiving as of Sunday the 9th?
Well, propofol was only for the first 4 hours, but we were still on ketamine and Precedex.
On October 9th, did you come up with a weaning plan for Maya Kowalski?
Actually, the weaning plan we came up with the weaning plan from the very beginning, from October the 7th.
How do you describe to the jury what a weaning plan is and why you did it here for Maya Kowalski?
A weaning plan is to progressively start going down on the medications that the patient is receiving. Why? Because these medications that generate tolerance or that can generate dependence, those medications, if you stop them suddenly, then the patient can have a reaction because their body has gotten used to get those particular medications.
Okay. I'd like to show you a snippet of your note from October 9 of 2016. It can be found at Joint Exhibit 1001-630. Please, Clay. And we're going to look right here at the middle of the page. There's a paragraph kind of smack dab in the middle, and we're looking at the very last sentence that starts with, "We plan to start weaning IV." If you would please highlight that so the jury can read. Dr. Dolan, do you see the portion that's being highlighted here in your note?
Yes.
Is this line here a fair and accurate representation of the weaning schedule you were just discussing for the jury?
Correct.
And what was Mr. and Mrs. Kowalski's agreement regarding the weaning schedule that was in place?
The weaning agreement, actually that conversation was done in PICU, in the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. Mr. Kowalski was present, but Mrs. Kowalski was over the phone.
And both parents agreed to this weaning plan?
Correct.
At a certain point on October 9th, did you have an opportunity to learn about Maya Kowalski's eating prior to her arrival at Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital?
I knew that she had not eaten or drinking anything for at least 5 days.
And I'd like to show you a nursing note from October 9th that touches on that topic. And is it my understanding that you regularly rely on nursing notes when you're providing care?
Yes.
Okay. Clay, can you please put up Joint Exhibit 1001-2718, please? And I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom third of this. It is a text note from October 9, 2016 by a nurse, Christina Noblet, at 0600. That's 6 in the morning. Can you highlight where it starts? Patient also stated in the room. Under R46, yes. based on your review of this note, what was Maya's eating history prior to her arrival at Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital?
Objection to the extent it calls for speculation. Overruled.
I knew that she wasn't eating. I knew that she wasn't drinking. I knew that she had severe abdominal pain. And if you ask me about what I remember from that day, I remember being sitting at the nurse station in PQ, and I saw the nurse that was taking care of her. She was all excited, and she said, "Oh, Maya wants to eat a donut," and she was all happy.
Why don't we move on to the end of your note here? At the very end, you have an anesthesiologist note. We can find that at 633, Clay. And based on your review of this note from October 9th, did Maya seem more comfortable on the 9th than she did when you saw her back on the 7th?
Definitely.
And is that something you put in your note?
Yes.
Did her appetite seem to have improved on October 9th versus when she came in on October 7th?
Well, she said she wanted to eat. At the end, she didn't, but I know she wanted.
And I see here at the bottom of your note, tomorrow we will start weaning the infusions. Do you see that?
Yes.
And is that a reference to the weaning schedule you were talking about with the jury a little earlier?
Correct.
All right. And I also see a reference here about facilitating a transfer to Nemours Children's Hospital in Orlando. Do you recall anything about the transfer of Maya Kowalski to Orlando?
Yes. I know the mom was interested on going to Orlando because they had a CRPS program, and at that point in time, if you see, I said I also provided the family a list of institutions with more resources for her type of condition. We didn't have the amount of we didn't have the resources to provide the amount of physical therapy that she needed. And we didn't have the resources also to provide the psychological support. We didn't have a psychology dedicated for chronic pain. We did have a psychologist, but she had a full outpatient clinic. So that's why I told them I agree with transferring to Nemours.
Now, as of October 9th, had you stopped the propofol administration?
Yes, the propofol was only for 4 hours, the initial 4 hours.
So that didn't continue past October 7th?
No.
Did you advise the family about whether you were going to escalate medications further or begin to taper them down?
Objection leading.
What do you recall telling the Kowalskis about whether medication would continue to be escalated?
Well, I remember being called multiple times because the family wanted me to keep on going up on the drugs, and actually during Saturday when I was available by phone but I was not present in the hospital, one of the other pediatric anesthesiologists called me.
Objection, you're set.
Annie.
Sustained.
Okay. Yeah, you can't talk about what anybody told
you.
During this October 9th visit with Maya Kowalski, did you have a chance to observe her physically?
Yes.
Did you notice any dystonia?
No.
Did you see any findings that were inconsistent with allodynia?
Hard to say at that moment because I really didn't press on it because of how agitated she was, so I didn't want it to precipitate anything.
Now, my understanding is after October 9th, the next time you encountered Maya Kowalski would have been November 1st of 2016. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, during that period of time from October 9th to November 1st, were there other members of Johns Hopkins pain team that were tending to Maya, even if you weren't?
Yes.
Okay. And who were some of the individuals that were involved with helping to treat Maya's pain in that roughly month period of time?
I know for sure Dr. Richard Elliott, but we were, at that point, we were 5 of us that did pediatric pain. So any of the others, one of the pediatric doctors was on maternity leave, so we were 4.
No, I got a little ahead of myself. I jumped forward to November 1st, but I meant to ask you about the use of a medication called Haldol. Do you recall back around October 12 and October 13, the pain service administering Haldol to Maya Kowalski on 3 different occasions?
Yes. Haldol is a medication that is widely used in the intensive care settings, and we use it specifically for agitation, and it's indicated for the treatment of toxicity or withdrawal symptoms of ketamine, alcohol, PCP, amphetamines. So that was the indication, but she only got 3 doses in a 48 hours period, and we discontinued the medication once we didn't need it anymore. And again, it was like a bridge between, we are winning her, you don't need to give more of the same medication, you are trying to win the patient. So then we use that as a anxiolytic.
Okay. So at the point that Haldol was given, the wean had been completed?
We had finished with I'm sure ketamine. Yes.
And so why did the pain team decide at this point Haldol was a good option for about a 48-hour period?
Well, the example I want to, the example so that you can understand me is like if you are coming out of, let's say that you are an alcoholic and you're coming out of a detox.
Sustain.
So you said that the Haldol was used as a bridge. What did you mean by that?
Well, we are weaning her from all these medications. When you are weaning a patient from medications, they can show symptoms of...
Mr. Whitney's not having it. He's getting frustrated. This witness is struggling to comply with acceptable testimony standards. Lots of hearsay. Some leading the witness from Mr. Hughes. Mr. Shapiro was whispering in Mr. Hughes' ear. Mr. Whitney's frustrated. Big sigh for Mr. Shapiro there. Let's see who won that one.
Yeah, approach for further question.
And we're back. Approach after approach after approach. The feed makes it look like his neck is red. Just so you know, the other feed is not quite so red. So you can switch between the two, and he develops a sunburn really quickly. But we're going to stick with the more saturated feed, if that's all right. It's a little easier for my system to process. And it gets a higher resolution, too.
Dolan, I would like to show you right now what's been marked as Joint Exhibit 1001, 1306, 1343, and 1345. Record, right? And while we're pulling that up, I'll represent to you this is a medication administration record. The first one is from October 12 of 2016. Can you please highlight the entry that says Haldol, please, Clay? Dr. Dolan, based on your review of this record here, can you please give me the date and time that Haldol IV was administered to Maya Kowalski on October 12th?
At 2:46 p.m., 1 milligram of Haldol for agitation.
Okay. Now, moving to 1343, I'd like to show you another IV Haldol administration on October 12, 2016, and you can see this at the very, very bottom. It's the last portion of this medication administration. Dr. Dolan, based on your review of this medication administration record, what was the second time that Haldol was administered to Maya Kowalski at Johns Hopkins?
At 8:35 p.m.
And that was on October 12th?
October 12th, 1 milligram.
And then we'll go to the third time, which can be found at 1345. This will be at the very top. So please highlight that, Clay. And this again is Haldol IV. What was the date and time, Dr. Dolan, that Haldol was administered for the third time?
4 a.m., October 13, 1 milligram.
Okay. Based on your review of the All Children's Hospital medical records, did you locate any other administrations of Haldol in the All Children's Hospital chart other than the three we just went through?
No.
Now, I told you that we were going to get to the November 1st visit, so we're there now. This was now your third visit with Maya Kowalski. What do you recall, if anything, about your third visit with Maya on November 1st?
Objection narrative.
Do you have a recollection of your November 1st visit with Maya Kowalski?
Yes.
What do you recall about that?
Objection narrative.
How did Maya appear on November 1st of 2016?
She was sad. She was missing her family.
Okay. Did you take any steps to try to help her out because she was feeling down that day?
Yes. I asked her how could I help her. What can I do to help you? How can I make it better? And she said that she wanted to interact with kids of her age. So I immediately called Child Life, and I asked them to please use young volunteers because to interact with Maya. And I also told them to step up their game and to involve her in everything and all kind of activities. Whatever activities they could involve her, I asked them to please have Maya on it.
How did Maya's functionality appear to you on November 1st as compared to when you first saw her approximately a month before?
It was a different child. Even though she was sad, she was able to participate in conversation. Her vital signs were normal. She didn't seem to be in any distress.
Okay. And my understanding is you had another visit with Maya Kowalski the next day on November 2nd of 2016. Is that correct?
Correct.
At this point, did you come to learn that she was participating more in child life services at this point?
Correct.
Okay. Now, as of this date, Dr. Dolan, and I think you touched on this earlier, did Johns Hopkins have a comprehensive inpatient multidisciplinary team to treat CRPS?
We didn't at that time.
And at this point, what was Maya's therapy for her pain disorder consisting of as of November 2nd of 2016?
Can you show me the notes?
Yeah, sure. Clay, if you could put up 1001, 527, 528. Well, is there a particular page? Do you want to see the addenda at the end? Or it's about a 5-page note. So, actually, Clay, put up 533, please.
So the active they are there. The page before, please. Oh no, they're too. Okay. So she was getting pregabalin, she was getting acetaminophen, and she had tramadol. Those are pain medications.
Was she receiving any therapies at Johns Hopkins outside of pharmacological therapy?
Yes, she was receiving physical therapy, occupational therapy, and psychological support.
How did Maya seem on November 2nd as compared to November 1st, based on your recollection?
I thought she was doing well. She was engaged. She was participating.
And you had another visit with Maya Kowalski, I believe, on November 4. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Did you continue to believe that she was making progress as of November 4th?
Correct.
Okay. And your next note was November 15 of 2016, if I'm correct. Is that your recollection as well?
Yes.
Okay. And how did Maya seem on November 15th as compared to back in November 2nd?
That day she was solemn, like upset. I remember trying to talk to her like I was doing the previous day, and that day she said that she didn't want to talk to me. That her lawyer said that we were all liars and we were lying to her, and I was not giving her the right treatment. That I wasn't giving her the RDS treatment or the IVG infusions. I remember that.
Did you ever lie to Maya Kowalski?
No, sir.
Were you providing at that point what you believed to be the proper therapy for Maya's pain condition?
Yes.
And if I'm correct here, your last note for Maya Kowalski would have been on November 29 of 2016?
Yes.
And I see in your note that you make a reference to the importance of parents participating in any chronic pain program. Do you remember putting that in your note?
Yes.
Why is it important to have the parental participation when trying to address chronic pain in a pediatric patient?
This is standard care. Sustained.
Based on your care of Maya Kowalski, why did you believe that parental participation in a chronic pain program would be important for Maya?
Same objection. Sustained.
I'd like to go back in time now to Dr. Hanna's care and treatment of the patient. At any point, did you testified earlier you came to learn, you had an understanding about what Dr. Hanna was doing at his clinic, right?
Correct.
Did you have a chance to review Dr. Hanna's clinic records after you were done caring for Maya Kowalski?
Yes.
What did you come to learn about his infusions on October 6th of 2016 when you reviewed his records?
Objection that we approach.
Yes, please.
Judge is like, please, come talk to me at my bench. Mr. Whitney's been very effective in his objections here, and Mr. Hughes, unfortunately, is struggling to get testimony from this witness that is admissible in court. And when he does get a question out that it's not leading or objectionable or calls for a narrative or something else, she tends to respond with something that makes the answer not eligible. So Mr. Hughes is having a tough go at this. I think this witness is great, doing a great job, really is. Interesting, there was this little comment here. Phoebe Purvis says, Recovery Addict, do you think this witness was coached when she said Maya asked to play/interact with other children? Because this was previously brought up that she wasn't allowed. Why would she ask to if she was already allowed to? Why would she have to ask? Saying, I want to play with kids my age.
Dr. Dolan, are you familiar with the Johns Hopkins All Children's clinical policy on ketamine infusion?
Right.
Hughes is struggling. Let's see some body language here. Oh, he needs to back off. Mr. Hughes needs to back off. He's leaning forward, shaking his head, frustrated. I think he probably went right into the place where the judge told him not to go. Judge is shaking his head while looking at Mr. Hughes. Not happy. Not happy. Shapiro says, just sit down. I don't know what he said. Just sit down. We're good. Just sit down.
Dr. Dolan, in your experience, is death from pulmonary embolus slow?
Sudden and quick.
Please approach.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. The audio guy is tired of raising and lowering the audio sound, so he's just leaving the static up. It's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Sound's still up. Sound's still up. He's not, his headphones aren't even on his ears. That's why he doesn't know we can hear the static. He's got his iPhone in his ear, and he's doing something else.
I have no further questions.
Boom. Sit down. Sit down. That was it. All right, Mr. Whitney. You're up.
I'm going to try half an hour. I know I'm limited on time, but I don't know if we want to take a break now or continue.
Are you all good to go for half an hour plus whatever additional questions will come up?
Okay, so plaintiff has only used about 10 minutes so far today. 1 minute on depo. Let's see, there was 1 minute on one depo. I'm not sure the second depo. 1 minute on one depo and about 7 minutes of cross on direct for the witness this morning. So they've been really good with time so far. They only have 2.5 hours. Well, they only had 3 hours and 5 minutes when they started this morning. Everybody looks red on this feed, guys.
Afternoon, Dr. Dolan. Did I hear you testify that Maya did not receive propofol after October 7th?
Not to my recollection.
Will we please put up 1001-1294? You see the top entry there, propofol on October 8th?
Yes.
Please put up 1001-1307.
Can I explain?
No.
No.
There's no pending question.
She's allowed to explain.
You have, redirect, the question was not. Proceed, Mr. Whitney.
Thank you.
Proceed, Mr. Whitney.
October 13th, propofol.
For anesthesia care.
Propofol. On
For
the 13th.
For anesthesia care.
6 days after the 7th.
So she had a procedure.
6 days after the 7th.
But she had a procedure.
Did you testify that she did not receive propofol after October 7th?
Not to my recollection.
Your recollection was incorrect.
You gotta let me explain.
Was your recollection incorrect?
The propofol that she received was not part of the weaning. This is a second encounter where the patient was undergoing general anesthesia. So it was no part of the weaning treatment.
You didn't testify to that detail in your direct, did you? 1001-1309. Propofol on the 14th.
That's again for anesthesia event.
So you testified.
That's my nurse anesthetist.
Okay. You testified she received it on 1 day, but she received it on 4 days.
For different purposes.
Now, Dr. Dolan, you're not just any other physician, right? In terms of Johns Hopkins and your roles there. You have been the corporate representative in this courtroom multiple days, have you not?
Correct.
So what you say binds Johns Hopkins. Are you aware of that?
I don't know what you are trying to imply.
Sustained.
All right. What you say is the position of Johns Hopkins as the corporate representative.
Same objection. Sustained.
How many days have you attended trial here as the corporate representative?
I'm not sure, like 4.
What testimony have you heard?
Me approach, please.
Okay, Whitney is trying to pin this on her, basically saying the corporate representative from Johns Hopkins has lied under oath. That's what he's trying to get at. Okay, that's how he's going to spin it. Now this witness is saying my testimony was different. The propofol for the weaning was different than the propofol she received for a procedure. But she was in charge. She's in charge of general anesthesia, I believe, chief of pediatric anesthesia, right? So she should know. She should have known there was more propofol involved than I think judge is telling everybody off, telling everyone to dial it back a little bit. Let's see if Whitney gets to pursue this line. Let's see what happens. Your recollection is not correct. Soundbite, please.
Which witness's testimony have you observed as the corporate representative?
I observed Dr. Cantu. I observed last Friday. I observed the neuropsychologist from Tampa. I don't know her name. I observed the deposition of Dr. Hannah, the video. I observed Dr. Kilpatrick testimony. Those are the main ones I remember.
Thank you, Sharon.
Were you here when your colleague, Dr. Richard Elliott, testified?
No.
Have you discussed his testimony with him?
No.
Now, in addition to being the corporate representative on several days, you're also not just any other physician because you serve on hospital committees. I heard you testify to that in your direct, but you left an important one out. As of 2016, you were on the medical executive committee of the hospital, were you not?
It's possible, but I don't remember exactly.
You don't remember if you were on the medical executive committee in
I
2016?
know I was a member of the medical executive committee. I don't remember if it was in 2016.
Please put up 2142-001. All right, I'm going to read off names. If you, Mr. Reyes, please highlight as I go. Joseph Perno, first one. Anthony Napolitano, fourth.
Objection, relevance, Your Honor. First, please.
Blessed in Texas. Thank you very much for the super chat. Came through on. I think you're watching another video. It came through on another video right now, but thank you. And Sharon, thanks for the first ever super chat right there. Thank you very much, Sharon. That's awesome. This is Whitney doing what Whitney does, and he's very good at this. He's caught her. He's caught her in what could be perceived by the jury as an untruth or an inaccurate statement. And now he's
Dr. Jenny
playing
Dolan
it for all it's worth.
Is about 4 down from Napolitano. Dr. Michelle Smith. Were you here for Dr. Michelle Smith's testimony?
No.
Dr. Suzanne Jackman.
No.
You're aware that she treated her on Maya's previous hospitalizations at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital?
I think so, yes.
Diana Young.
I wasn't aware.
Mark Cabot.
Yes.
If you could scroll down a bit, please.
So you're saying you're
Anthony
a fan,
Kreisman.
Sharon?
Yes.
Ex officio members, Dr. Dipti Amin.
Yes.
Is Dr. Amin with us today?
Correct.
As the corporate representative?
Yes.
Jonathan Ellen, the president, served on that committee with you, and Mark Stroud, the chairman of the board. Does this refresh your recollection that you were on the medical executive committee as of 2016?
I knew I was part of the medical executive committee, but that committee got dissolved, and I didn't know in which year, so that's why I said I don't remember if it's 2016.
Now, were you here for either Dr. Perno's or Dr. Napolitano's depositions when those were played for the jury?
No.
Yourself, Dr. Michelle Smith, Dr. Diane Young, Dr. Mark Cavett, and Dr. Amin. 5 of you were on the team during Maya's 3-month hospitalization, were you not?
Yes.
And the other 2 that I didn't mention there, Dr. Jackman and Dr. Kreisman, had seen Maya on multiple previous occasions before this October admission, right?
Yes.
How many times had Maya been an inpatient at Johns Hopkins Hospital in 2015 and 2016 before October 7th?
I don't have that. I don't know exactly how many times.
You weren't aware that she was an inpatient on 4 previous occasions?
I knew she was an inpatient at least once. I didn't know specifically how many times.
And you were aware, you weren't, or you were aware that she had been there on an outpatient basis 16 previous times?
Objection, foundation, or
no.
You, Dr. Dolan, saw her for the first time on October 7th, right?
I think so.
All right, just for a moment, if you could put up Trial Exhibit 2143-001. And this is the 2017 Medical Executive Committee. Were you still on it, Dr. Dolan?
Yes.
So you testified a few minutes ago that your memory was foggy because it had dissolved, but it hadn't dissolved by 2016 or 2017.
Sustained.
Had the Medical Executive Committee dissolved in 2017?
Based on this paper, not yet.
So during Maya's hospitalization, you served both years on the Medical Executive Committee. If we could put up Joint Exhibit 1079-0028, please. And I'll represent to you, Dr. Dolan, this is the All Children's Hospital Medical Staff Bylaws. And on the page I've got in front of you here, we're discussing the duties and scope of the Medical Executive Committee. If we go down further to 7.1-2, please, let's talk about the responsibilities of the Medical Executive Committee. C includes providing a liaison between the medical staff and the CEO of the hospital. Right?
Overruled.
Yes.
You agree that's the function, one of the functions of the Medical Executive Committee?
Correct.
And D, make recommendations to the CEO and board on hospital management. Correct?
Correct.
And during Maya's hospitalization, 5 physicians who served on the Medical Executive Committee were part of her team.
Objection outside the scope of direct.
Overruled.
Right?
Correct.
I'm going to
This is
show
tying
you a
upper
number of
management with this
records
whole case.
over the next 15 or 20 minutes. And I want to give you the opportunity to point out some things in your notes, if I missed them, because you testified to things that I believe are not your notes. So, if you see trembling in any of your notes, which you described on direct, please let me know, okay?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Whitney.
You understand, Dr. Dolan?
Yes.
All right.
This
If you
impeachment is
see
brutal.
dark circles describing Maya's eyes at the time of admission in your records, as I show them to you, please stop me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you see rage mentioned in your note anywhere, please let me know.
Remember, the question was about recollection.
Ma'am, if you, do you understand? I want you, if you see those 3 terms, phrases in your note, to stop me.
Okay.
All right.
Also, you testified on direct examination in reference to Beata and Maya Kowalski that they used foul language.
Correct.
So I'd like you to, I know you entered a note about Maya using profanity, right?
What did you say?
You entered a note about Maya using profanity?
I don't remember.
Okay. If at any point during the next 15 to 20 minutes you see a note where you mention Beata Kowalski using profanity, please stop me. Also, I'd like you to look for anything where you suggested in your note that Maya said anything to the effect of, I'm going to have a heart attack.
Okay.
Compound was argumentative.
No. I'm going to agree on compound. I'm going to overrule argumentative.
Would you please identify for me in your records, if you see it, anywhere where you see Maya say, I'm going to have a heart attack?
Okay.
And would you also identify in your records anywhere you say, Maya said, I'm dying?
So if she just testified to stuff that she did not witness.
So you were involved in October, on October 7th and October 9th, correct?
Correct.
And your plan, as discussed with Jack and Beata Kowalski, was to wean Maya off of the medications.
Correct.
And discharge her early the next week.
Yes.
That was the plan.
Yes.
That's the plan they agreed to.
Yes.
You, Dr. Dolan, were not involved as that week progressed. So let's give everyone a point of reference. October 7th was a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
October 9th was a Sunday. The plan that was agreed to was to wean her off of medications and then discharge her early the next week, which would be Monday the 10th, Tuesday or the 11th, correct?
I don't know when.
Right. You weren't attending the attending anesthesiologist for Maya Kowalski during that Monday to Friday, critical Monday to Friday, 10th through the 13th.
I was not.
All right. So, you don't know, or do you, upon your review of the records, that when the parents attempted to discharge their daughter against medical advice, security was notified?
No.
You're not aware of that?
No.
May I put up for a moment 1001-0062?
Check the foundation here, Your Honor, having your comment on records of another individual when she wasn't even on service.
I believe there was testimony she regularly relies on other nurses' notes and physician notes. Do you regularly rely on the notes of the critical care physicians on the multidisciplinary team?
Same objection.
And now they're going to approach. All right. This is like a free shot for Whitney, right? He's got her in a tough spot. He's got the witness in a tough spot. He can play this same note, okay, which makes him look bad, for quite a while. This is a long sustained note he can play, and the whole time it's cringing on the ears of the hospital. You've got a witness on the stand who has sat in court as the official representative of Johns Hopkins. She's sat on committees with the president, the CEO. He's tied Johns Hopkins to all of this, and now he's dragging them through it vicariously through her. And this is stellar. I would not want to change places with her in a heartbeat, though. I feel sorry for her individually, but this is incredible lawyering.
All right, so your testimony is that Maya used profanity.
Correct.
So what?
It was part of my observations of the things that happened. That's it.
Does that mean that the hospital could ignore her pain?
Not at all, and that was not the case.
Does that mean that the hospital could then take her off her pain meds?
She was never taken off other pain medications. The only medication we removed was ketamine.
You're not aware that she was taken off all of her pain medications?
Not all of them, no.
You're not aware that Dr. Deese and Dr. Smith decided to take her off all of her pain medications?
No.
Since she cussed, does that mean that the hospital could lie to her about her mom being in a mental institution?
Since the facts not
Those
met,
are your observations.
I'll sustain the argument of
Since she cussed, does that mean that the hospital could covertly videotape her for 48 hours?
same objection.
overruled.
That has nothing to do one thing to the other.
I'm just wondering what it has to do with. What's so important about Maya using profanity on October 7th when she was in severe distress?
That was an observation of my recollection of that day. That was part of my observations of that day.
Because Maya Kowalski allegedly swore on October 7th when she was in acute pain, did that mean that the hospital could strip her down to her training bra and take photographs?
Argumentative.
Overruled.
No.
Did that mean, because she swore, that the hospital could retaliate against Maya Kowalski for the next 97 days?
She was
also
no.
lack of foundation.
Sustain that one.
No further questions. Sit down, Whitney. You got
You
it.
spent, as a physician, less than 3 hours with Maya Kowalski, right?
No, quite. Like on that Friday, I didn't leave the hospital until past midnight. So I left the hospital like early Saturday morning. I remember Dr. Bose called me around 10 something or 11 p.m. To the bedside, and throughout the day I was in and out of that room, beginning from, I will say, after noon or 1 p.m. So I was multiple times in that room.
I said 3 hours. What would your estimate be of the total time you spent with Maya Kowalski?
I don't know, maybe 4, just on the first day.
4 hours in day one.
More or less.
All right. In total, over the 97 days that Maya Kowalski was at All Children's Hospital during that admission, how many hours do you estimate you spent with her?
What did you say?
How many hours do you estimate you spent with Maya Kowalski over those 3 months?
I think in average for a chronic pain patient, we spend around at least 35 minutes.
So in total, 4 hours on the first day, and then 35 minutes on subsequent encounters?
More or less.
Would you estimate then, 7 hours total?
Approximately.
Less than one shift with Maya Kowalski over those 3 months?
Yes.
And you're not a psychologist or psychiatrist, right?
Correct.
And you wouldn't claim that spent 7 hours with a child over the course of 3 months gives you a basis to know what's going on in that child's mind, would you?
No.
Let's pull up 1001 0048. And Dr. Dolan, I just want to show you this page to show you that this is your October 7th progress note. Would you agree?
Correct.
And if we could please advance to 1001-0051. At the top of the page, it says diagnosed by Dr. Kirkpatrick in Tampa. You were aware of that by October 7th?
Correct.
Oh, I'd like you to point out at any point in your notes as well if you can show me anywhere where you tried to compare Maya's signs and symptoms to the Budapest criteria. Now,
Bordering on expert testimony there, Your Honor.
are you familiar with the Budapest criteria?
Correct.
As a treating physician?
Yes.
Will you please point out to me if you, in any of your notes, tried to stack up her signs and symptoms against the Budapest criteria?
Same objection, Your Honor.
On that one, no, it's overruled.
Now, if you could drop that window for a second, because I want to look at the third paragraph down. It says, report reports, and then the government's ineffective. No discussion of any cognitive behavioral therapy or other non-pharmacologic treatment. Is that what that means, non-pharmacologic treatment?
Correct.
And this was your understanding as of your encounter on October 7th?
Correct. That was the information that I had.
So you weren't aware that she had been receiving cognitive behavioral therapy at Eagles Wings Counseling Center?
No.
And you weren't aware of her previous non-pharmacologic treatments that you testified to? Physical therapy at Tampa General Hospital for a month inpatient?
No. Actually, on Sunday, I learned that she had received physical therapy from having a conversation with Mr. Kowalski, but I didn't know that she had been admitted for a period of time.
And then in the bottom of that paragraph here, it says she was seen by Dr. Hart at that time and am unsure of the follow-up to those recommendations. Dr. Hart is who?
He was a physiatrist from the hospital.
And you were not sure of whether they'd followed up on Dr. Hart's recommendations as of October 7th?
Correct.
Were you aware that he saw her the previous July of 2015?
No.
And so you weren't aware that they did follow up on Dr. Hart's recommendations and attend an inpatient rehab program?
I didn't know it was his recommendation.
So you weren't aware that the first line of treatment that you had testified to earlier today, PT, OT, CBT, had failed Mike Kowalski before they moved to pharmacological treatment options, were you?
No.
I'd like to advance to page 0053. The third paragraph that begins with PICU and pain team agreed on this plan. It says acute flare of pain. You'd agree that Mike Kowalski was undergoing or experiencing an acute flare of pain on October 7th?
Yes.
And that you noted that cognitive behavioral therapy will be a key component to her care?
Correct.
Are you aware that she received between 3 and 5 hours of cognitive behavioral therapy over the next 3 months at the hospital?
As I said before, we didn't have the capacity to provide the amount of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Were you here when Dr. Katzenstein testified?
No.
Were you aware that the reason was she had to run over between appointments and couldn't make time for Mike Kowalski?
I knew she had an outpatient.
Testimony, argumentative.
Sustained.
And so the next paragraph, the third line down begins, goal is for discharge early next week. This is the plan that was discussed, right?
Correct.
Monday, Tuesday, discharge.
Whatever time it took us from weaning her from the medication.
And then the plan was to follow up with Dr. Hannah and Lau, Beata and Jack to take their daughter to the clinic they wanted.
Correct.
And even in this early date, October 7th, the next line here at the bottom, PICU, nursing leadership, social work, and risk management were all present. Is risk management making treatment decisions in this hospital?
No.
Argumentative.
Overrule on that one.
Social work. Who was there from social work, if you recall?
I don't recall who was there.
Was it Catherine Beatty?
I couldn't tell you if it was her.
All right. Now, if you could zoom out for a second, I want to go to the next paragraph. You were the attending anesthesiologist, right?
Correct.
Member of the medical executive committee.
Yes.
Chief of the anesthesiology department.
Yes.
And you reached out to Dr. Richard Elliott about this issue.
Yes.
To seek his opinion.
That's common practice among us. When we have a doubt or when we want to discuss a particular case, that's what we usually do.
He was in his garden when you called him?
I believe so.
And he searched on his phone for whether this treatment was appropriate or not?
I don't think he searched on his phone.
Overrule on that foundation.
Who was making decisions? Was it you or Dr. Elliott?
It was me, but I also had a conversation with him. At the end of the day, the decisions were made by me with the PQ team.
If we move to the next page, you recount a discussion with Beata. After a long discussion, the mother agreed but refused psych consult. See that, doctor?
Correct.
You weren't aware at that point that they'd already seen psychologists at multiple institutions?
No.
Does it make sense knowing that she might refuse a psych consult in that context?
Calls for speculation.
Not really.
All right. And so you did October 7th and then October 9th, and then, if my notes are correct, you didn't see the child again until the first part of November.
Correct.
As you sit here today, does Maya Kowalski have complex regional pain syndrome?
It depends on when. That will be the question. What did I think during the time she was with us?
What did you think during the time that she was with you?
At the beginning, I thought she had CRPS. I accepted the diagnosis of the outside physician as the truth, and I treated her for CRPS during all the time, as you can see on my notes.
And then?
And then I started seeing inconsistencies on her presentation, and then I had doubts, but I didn't change my approach. I still kept on treating her as if she had CRPS.
So you never refuted the diagnosis of complex regional pain syndrome?
Correct.
So as we sit here today, complex regional pain syndrome is an uncurable disease. You're aware of that?
Not in the pediatric population.
Complex regional pain syndrome has a cure?
They get on remission.
I'm sorry?
They get on remission. They get better. A big percentage of the pediatric population, they get better. And they may never in their life have another episode of CRPS.
It goes into remission, but it's not cured, is it?
For most of the patients, it is.
It's a lifelong condition, is it not?
Not for most of the patients.
Were you here by chance for the testimony of Dr. Crane, the hospital's complex regional pain syndrome expert?
No.
You're not aware that Dr. Crane testified that 2/3 of pediatric patients will relapse?
Argumentative foundation, also trying to have her comment on the opinions of another expert.
Sustain us to the last one.
So, at any point during her 97-day hospitalization, did you refute the diagnosis of complex regional pain syndrome?
I did not.
And so, the treatment recommendations you made at the beginning, that this patient required significant cognitive behavioral therapy, remained accurate throughout.
Correct.
And she received 5 hours.
And I gave you the reasons.
Did you ever... Do you claim to be an expert on complex regional pain syndrome?
Objection, Your Honor. Address this at sidebar.
Sustained.
Did you ever review the neuropsychological consult of Dr. James Lewis?
Same objection.
What time?
It was... I'm sorry. During your November encounters of Mike
When
Walsh,
was the evaluation?
October 18th.
I don't remember reviewing it.
You, Dr. Dolan, never consulted a pediatric neurologist to rule in or rule out complex regional pain syndrome, did you?
You don't need a pediatric neurologist to rule out or rule in the complex regional pain syndrome.
So you disagree with the findings of Dr. Lewis?
Same objection.
Sustained.
You saw her again on November 15th and November 29th. Do you know who the social worker was in charge of Mike Kowalski's care?
No.
It never came to your attention?
No.
He's over his 30 minutes. He's 33 minutes right now.
And you testified on direct that Maya stated that she'd been lied to?
Correct.
That was a statement made to you?
Yes.
If we could put up, did you think that was inaccurate, that she was being lied to by the hospital?
I wasn't lying to her, and the comment was directed to me, and that's why I put it in comillas.
Are you aware that that came to the attention of risk management?
No.
Can we put up 2277-248, please?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation.
Overruled.
This is a note from the risk management file and evidence.
Team
and
meeting.
You'll see there, Maya feels that Johns Hopkins Hospital is lying to her about her mother, and that doctors are lying about her parents. Have you ever seen that note before?
No. Comment on a note she claims she had no knowledge of.
You just asked if she saw it.
I said no.
And in your role on the medical executive committee, that statement to risk management never came to your attention.
Correct.
And after Maya was discharged in January 2017, at no time did the medical executive committee discuss Maya Kowalski's 97 days in that hospital?
Not that I'm aware of.
There were 5 treating physicians on the committee, and it was never discussed.
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
Not that I'm aware of.
When did you learn that Beata Kowalski had taken her own life?
I don't remember the exact day.
Overruled.
I don't remember the exact day. I know that I was supposed to testify that week. I think I don't know the reason for the testimony, but I received an email saying that I was not going to testify anymore. And then I received a phone call from risk management informing me that the mother had died.
And even after you learned this in the first part of 2017, while you were serving on the medical executive committee, the medical executive committee never discussed that this mother of a patient had taken her own life.
Object. Relevance.
Overruled.
No, but we were treating Maya, not the mother.
Nothing further at the moment.
Dr. Dolan, can you approximate how long the medication wean Maya Kowalski was on that started approximately October 7th of 2016?
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah. Can you approximate how long Maya Kowalski's medication wean was at Johns Hopkins starting around October 7th of 2016?
Approximately between 5 to 7 days.
And do you recall some questions about the use of propofol for a procedure?
Correct.
Can you please explain to the jury why propofol is used for various surgical or other invasive procedures?
As I mentioned before, propofol is a pure anesthetic medication. It is used for sedation or to put patients under anesthesia.
So when propofol was used earlier on October 7th, earlier in the admission, why was propofol being used on Maya Kowalski?
To control her agitation. That was the purpose at the beginning. And we started in the middle of the night of the 7th, so that's why you could see that it finished on the 8th. That was the overlapping. I believe it was for 4 hours.
And then later on, about a week later or so, you were shown some records that propofol was used again. Do you recall that?
Correct.
And why was propofol being used at that point of Maya Kowalski's hospitalization?
She had gastric endoscopy. Remember that she arrived with abdominal pain, and that was part of the evaluation, so she had to go under general anesthesia.
And what is an endoscopy?
An endoscopy, they come with a camera. It's like a hose with a camera then, and they go through the mouth, and they go all the way down to the stomach to see if they are able to see any pathology.
You recall being asked by Mr. Whitney some questions about Maya Kowalski yelling and screaming earlier in the admission when you were on shift. Do you recall that?
Correct.
Can a patient yelling and screaming be a sign of withdrawal?
Yes.
Objection. Foundation. Move to strike.
Overruled. Anything else, Mr. Hughes?
No further questions at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr.
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Can a patient yelling and screaming be a sign of pain?
Any of you have questions?
Okay, jury questions coming up. I anticipate having a number of them. Let's see if we get to hear the audio or not. Yeah, I'm wondering if defense is regretting calling this witness, because what they gained from her seemed to be much less than what they lost. Kind of, sort of, in a way, says, thank you all for keeping me sane. After a fourth interview, they said I was great on Zoom, only asked about my hand trimmer in person, said I wouldn't fit. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry, kind of, sort of, in a way. The job hunt is tough. It's awful. I hate it. Okay, it looks like we're not going to get to hear them. So, let's see. Great. I think the way that Whitney, way that Whitney crossed this witness in linking her to those committees that are directly under the CEO was masterful, and especially where she was evasive about it. Didn't include it in her.
Questions coming? No. Okay.
She didn't include it in her initial storyline.
Okay, Dr. Dolan.
So it's like you caught her with a
testified you
trap.
spent 30 hours with Maya, or 3 hours with Maya and her family. Let me start again. You testified you spent 3 hours with Maya and her family on your first visit. Did you not follow up with questions with the family to see what treatments Maya had prior to coming to the hospital as part of your history?
I did, and the response was that, as I mentioned before, the ketamine treatment, there was no mention of psychological or psychiatric evaluation. I didn't know at that point that she had undergone physical therapy. The first time I heard about the physical therapy was on Sunday by the father, but that was the information that I had that day.
How much formal training had you had in treating CRPS patients prior to treating Maya?
CRPS is a big part of the education as a general anesthesiologist. Is a condition that we encounter with frequency as an adult. I had formal training through my pain rotations, both at Jackson Memorial and at the VA hospital. That in the adult population. In the pediatric population, it is a very uncommon condition, but we see it enough times that it is part also of our education. I have seen patients with CRPS both in the Jackson Memorial and in Miami Children.
How many CRPS patients had you treated prior to treating Maya?
In average, in the past, we used to see like 7 to 8 CRPS patients a year. Coincidentally, while we had Maya in the hospital, we had, during that period of time, we had 2 other patients. Not the overlapping the whole time, but one of them was in the hospital for a few days. The other one was very brief, no more than 1 day. That was in the past, before we had the CRPS program. Now that we had the CRPS program, we see around 3 to 4 a month, but it's because we see patients from all over the country, not just from our catchment area or the population that we cover.
Mr. Hughes,
I have nothing wrong.
anything further from the jury? Okay, may this doctor be excused?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Members of the jury, I am told we have an approximate 30-ish minute deposition. Do you want to
play it?
Sorry, go for it.
We have about an 8-minute deposition and 2 emails to publish, so I'll leave it up to the jury if they want a short break or want to work through another 15 minutes.
So do you want to take a break? Or do you want to do what Mr. Shapiro just said and then you can leave?
15 minutes total, and then we can wrap up.
Well, I have
Yeah, well, we can take a short break if it's easy.
I can wait.
You sure?
She's like, I've got to pee, but I've got to hold
We've
it.
got time. Why don't we take 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Do not do any investigation and receive no information.
Everybody wants to leave early, so the juror's like, I've got to pee, but I'm going to hold it for 15 minutes. And
I'm sorry.
the judge is like, no. We want your full attention right here. Wow. Really like that. Interesting that there were not as many juror questions on that. I wonder if they, I wonder why. There was not much. I think just 3 questions asked of her. The judge didn't say how many.
We'll come back.
We're going to take a quick break and then come back. Judge is getting a break as well, I think. All right. Somebody said I needed to go into something. I think it was about the lab coat, right? The lab coat you had a question about we were going to talk about on break. Okay, so this goes back to the decision the judge made right as soon as he came in from lunch today, and this is regarding the Kushner family, or the Kushner family. I'm not sure which way is correct. The Kushner family is, to my understanding, is another family in this same situation with this same hospital. So it's very, very telling. This is like a pattern of behavior type situation where they have said because of the testimony that the defense elicited from Kathy Beatty about how she never wears a lab coat in these situations. She always walks in and identifies herself and says, this is my role. This is what I'm here to do. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Because they brought that out specifically, then the plaintiff says, hey, that you said we couldn't bring this testimony in before, but because they brought that in, that opens the door, or that forces us to be able to counter that testimony. The judge agreed and said, yes, but for very, very limited, like very narrow scope. This is going to be one of the quickest witnesses we've seen in this trial. And if we're going to have someone from that family who was in the same situation as Maya's family, it's going to get in there and say, we were also in that hospital. We also had a situation where the hospital, was questioning what was going on. And we also had Kathy Beatty walk into the room in a white lab coat as if she was a doctor and ask questions without any introduction. And that is going to be the limit of that testimony. It's big. Is it, Sally Smith, not Kathy Beatty? Am I confusing the two? Sally Smith with the lab coat, not Kathy Beatty. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. I've got like 150 corrections. Had I paid attention to chat, I would have corrected this like 5 minutes ago. But I was getting carried away with my explanation. So everything I said, replace Kathy Beatty with Sally Smith. But that's the situation where you've got another family in the exact same situation in the same hospital with the same players, and their story matches up with Maya's story and her family's story. And yes, boom, that is huge, Sophia. That is big. That's very big. It shows a pattern, and it shows consistency, and it shows it's corroboration with existing evidence or testimony. K-Rab says Kushners are in Bad Medicine USA Today. It's Sally Smith. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I messed it up. Unfortunately, because people are behind a little bit, and some people are several minutes behind, I'm going to be getting corrections that it's Sally Smith for the next 10 or 15 minutes in chat. I'm sorry. Very big corroboration. Yes, this is a huge win. And then follow that with a massive, skillful cross by Whitney of Dr. Dolan, which I'm trying to remember now. After that cross, what did what did defense get out of her that was useful? What was so valuable to them that they would risk bringing her up to the stand and face what they just faced? But she says that they swore, the family swore. I don't recall anything else. We've got basically a repeat of a lot of ketamine beliefs about ketamine, about its proper usage, about how the dosage that the doctors were giving Maya was way too high. It was so high, as a matter of fact, that when her assistant transcribed the message or something, that she thought there was a typo or there had been a mistake. She described it as a fatal dose or a lethal dose, I think. But other than that, I mean, these are all things to some extent or another we've heard before. Why would they risk bringing another doctor to say the same thing again and then get pinned to the wall, especially where it ties in a doctor who has testified to one thing on the stand and is forced to admit that there were other situations, so her memory is not accurate. It's not a huge mistake, but it's big enough that Whitney can say, "Ha, this is wrong. You have to admit that you were wrong," and she has to basically say, "Yeah, I was a little bit." Once she's admitted that she's wrong, then he goes and he says, and this is let's spread this out just so everyone knows how big a deal this is that you were wrong. You were on which committees at the hospital? You reported directly to the CEO. You were and 5 doctors on this, and you guys, this note about the family went all the way up to risk management, and you guys never talked about this about Beata's passing. It was never brought up. It was amazing. It was amazing, and the objections definitely goes to speak to the damage it was doing to the defense's case. Oh man, good stuff. Judge is back already. That was a quick 5 minutes. That was really quick. Judge, your keys are showing. How embarrassing.
Any issues we need to address before we bring in the jury from the defense?
Do you want to hear the schedule real quick?
Sure.
We're going to play a video that I think is under 10 minutes. I'm going to publish 2 emails that'll be 5 minutes or less, and then we're going to shut down for the day.
With the jury.
With the jury. They seem ready to get going to Halloween.
That sounds great.
Okay, Ms. Lawrence, are there any issues we need to address before we bring the jury back?
No.
Let's bring back the jury.
Oh, I saw you had papers. I didn't know if you were about to raise them.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Not anymore.
All rise. Jurors entering.
They are fixated on the swearing, and it's almost like they're using the swearing as their only proof that there was withdrawal going on. But they brought someone in who's in pain and wants treatment for the pain. And I guess
if you lose the light battle, at least you can get to use the bathroom when you want to, right? Ms. Quarles.
Yes, we have
I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask. I want to confirm, while you're away, you did not discuss this case amongst yourselves. You did no investigation and received no information. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did not see any media reports.
Correct.
No one approached you.
Correct.
Now, Ms. Quarles, I apologize.
We have a very short deposition. About 10 minutes of koala padrone.
Depots are safe. You know the content.
It's actually 2 deps. I'm sorry, 2 deps, so there'll be a short break in between.
Ma'am, could you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Please state your name for the record.
Paola Padron.
And where do you live, Ms. Padron?
Atlanta, Georgia.
When was the last time you worked for J. Hatch?
I want to say December 2017.
And what was your position the last time you were there?
I was the child abuse coordinator with the social work department.
And was that considered a management position?
No.
But so, as far as you know, you were not ever management level at Johns Hopkins. Is that right?
Correct.
There you go. The child abuse coordinator was not a manager. Do you guys get anything else out of that?
Witness, please raise your right hand and please repeat the following declaration for the record. I declare my testimony in this matter is under penalty of perjury.
I declare that my testimony is under.
In this matter is under penalty of perjury.
In this matter is under penalty of perjury.
Thank you. The witness having declared that her testimony in this matter is under penalty of perjury and the parties having stated their agreement for the record, you may proceed.
This is in December now. Let me just ask you for something very frankly. During the time that you saw Maya over this 3-month period, did you see her acting like an abnormal child, of faking injuries, faking things, not telling the truth, acting strangely, cussing, crying, any of these, well, maybe not the crying, but any of these allegations against her? Did you personally observe any of that?
I personally did not.
Well, during this period of time, if you had seen Maya have any acting out, let's call it this time, you would have put it in your note, would you have not?
Yes.
Then we go to 032320, rather poignant one from December 23rd, 2016. Did you have to work on Christmas?
We were oftentimes on call, and given that I was a new social worker, it's very, I wouldn't be surprised because it was kind of the newer social workers covered more so the holidays.
Well, it says this is on December 23rd, 2016 at 12:20. Looks like Maya has been in the hospital about 3 months. Action taken or intervention completed. And then, can you read what it says there?
Yes. You want me to read it out loud?
Please.
Okay. It says this worker dropped off Maya's dresses to her that were delivered by her family for Christmas. Maya appeared in good spirits and showed a lot of excitement for the new dresses. Maya was smiling and happy during this time.
So she liked getting the Christmas gifts, right?
Yes, she was very happy from what I remember to see her dresses and was holding them.
And the do you remember any more interaction with Maya about Christmas this year?
No, sir.
She had to spend Christmas away from her family?
I don't really recall the details of Christmas for her.
Well, she was still there when you came back after Christmas, right?
Right. I just don't remember her family went to see her or not.
In your actions with Maya Kowalski, were you trying to inflict emotional distress on her?
Not at all.
Did you ever observe anybody at Johns Hopkins indicating that they wanted to inflict emotional distress on Maya Kowalski?
No.
Generally speaking, when you deal with social workers, is that your impression that they're there to help kids?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to suspect that Kathy Betty was trying to inflict emotional distress on Maya?
No.
There we go.
Your Honor, we would like to next publish what's in evidence as Defense Exhibit 3160.
If it's in evidence, you may.
And it's an email, Beata Kowalski, to Beata Kowalski, February 2nd, 2016.
I guess the 13th is an unlucky number for me, too. I was doing so well until the evening of 1/13/16. I had a very busy day today. I had a bronchoscopy early this morning with Dr. Weislick. Oh, she's a trip. My procedure was quick, and I slept right through it. Since I was so hungry after the brunch, I talked to my mom into stopping to Puguiche, something gelato. I don't know. In St. Pete. Their Oreo cookie and cappuccino flavors are supreme. After gelato, I took a long nap all the way home. Later, my friend came over and we were baking cupcakes and a cake while my dad was supervising us in the kitchen. The cupcakes I made turned out great. I continued to play with my friend and Kyle throughout the evening. I was feeling pretty good all day, so I continued to play like a kid my age should, I guess. For a while at least. I forgot about having RSD. Around 8 to 9 p.m. on January 13th, I developed a massive headache with blurred vision and pain in my legs. My mom said I looked like I had a stroke. The pain in my head was so intense that I could hardly say anything or explain what was happening in my body. My mom gave me several different medications to help with the migraine and the pain in my legs, but she kept massaging my back to ease the pain I was having. I could hardly sleep that night. The pain continued to be there when I woke up the next day. We called Dr. Hannah's office and managed to fit me for an urgent ketamine boosters the next Tuesday a.m. That was the first available day, unfortunately. The pain continued to get worse each day, and by Friday evening, 1:15, this burning pain spread to my hands, arms, and back. Everything was hurting me again. I honestly couldn't deal with this relapse. I told my mom I was ready to die. Both of my parents were comforting me as much as they could during this struggle. I don't know how I was going to make it through 3 more days, and that's when I could get the ketamine booster finally. My mom called Dr. Hannah Saturday morning and explained to him in detail how miserable I was. Luckily, he was able to order me oral ketamine with the hope to ease my pain during the next 3 days. He was also going to try to move me from Tuesday to Monday for the ketamine booster. Unfortunately, the pharmacy was going to compound the oral ketamine that was all the way in Palm Harbor, which is approximately a 2-hour drive from my house. Our family friend, Miss Bozina, was willing to drive to Palm Harbor that afternoon to pick up my medication. Then my dad had to drive to Clearwater Beach to pick up my meds from her home, so it was in the evening by the time I was able to take the ketamine. Each time the pain eased off, I was able to fall asleep for a while. I was taking ketamine ATC every 3.5 hours to keep the pain level down, and to get me through the weekend. Monday, I went to the Clearwater for my emergency treatment. I was there for 4 long days. I received 500 milligrams of ketamine on the first day, and then 1,000 milligram each day thereafter. My dad went with me this time around, and he took real good care of me. Unfortunately, my mommy couldn't go with me this time. I seemed to tolerate the ketamine bags better this time. I had a lot less nausea and less ABD pain. I continued to sleep a lot after each infusion. I started to get better on the third day of my boosters, and then the progress continued each day. I'm so thankful again that I'm better now, able to move around in my wheelchair or scooting on the floor. Thank you, God, for making me better and giving me hope for life with a lot less pain. Is that just page 1, or is there another? I'll put up the objection scoreboard here in just a second so you guys can see where we're at.
Anyone need more time? Okay.
Okay. Let's go a little faster. We're at 665 right now on total objections. So Christopher, Chrissy.
Mr. Shapiro?
Sure. One more, Your Honor. 3164, which is in evidence.
I see you there, P. Will, for real. There you are. You asked for it. 1691. I'm not sure what picture they've put up here because they haven't shown us yet. A lot of these emails were admitted as evidence but had not yet been shown to the jury, so they're sort of spacing them out and showing them to the jury periodically, which I think is a very effective method of doing this. Okay, quick email. Sometimes things don't go as planned. I got sick with a cold flu on Friday. Hard to know the difference. Fever 104. Wow. I thought the plastic thermometer was going to melt. I had chills, bad sore throat, and just felt blah. This is March 4th of 2016. Spent the weekend on my bed or on the couch. Fever and cough continued on Monday, so my ketamine, TX, and PT got canceled. My RSD pain got worse. The infection I had flared up CRPS again. I had pain in my legs, back, and arms, tingling in my hands. Mom and Dad looked defeated. They didn't know what else to do for me besides giving me more of the oral ketamine. I was thinking how much longer they can handle this. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I cannot deal with this myself. I hate being in pain. I cannot stand the taste of the crappy, awful taste of oral ketamine. It's the worst tasting medicine out there. And they've got sinus infection. Oh, it's got questions about IV ketamine. I was telling my mommy, I want IV ketamine. Can we go to Dr. Hannah now, please? Wednesday, I went to Dr. Hannah for ketamine boosters. Got my usual 500 milligram ketamine initially, and then 1 gram during the next 2 days. Had PT on 2 days before my ketamine treatment, and tried my very best. That's where it ends.
Anyone need more time?
No, I got most of it, Judge. Thank you.
I guess to quote the name of the store, in the spirit of Halloween, we're going to conclude our presentation for today and pick back up tomorrow.
Okay. Members of the jury, this is going to be a time that we're going to excuse you for today. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Do not do the investigation. Receive no information. Remember, tomorrow is a day that will be the last day of your being with us this week. So you will not be here Thursday or Friday. We will see you on tomorrow at 9 a.m.
All rise.
So the jury tomorrow comes in at 9 a.m. We're going to hear what time the lawyers have to be there. Yeah, that goes to proof that it was oral, not IV at home.
Okay. The jury is out of our presence. Everyone, please be seated. Actually, sorry. Can I see the attorneys up here for a moment?
And he kills the sound for the Zoom as well. Judge is very good with tech. He actually, if you listened, he killed the Zoom feed altogether as far as the... Oh, he says, Samantha, come on up. Ms. Lawrence, front and center. Said I wanted to see all the attorneys, and you happen to be one of them. This is the first time she's approached the bar and the sidebar. That's pretty cool. Not sure what's going on here. They're all leaning in closely. They really want to hear what's going on. Mr. Shapiro's practically climbed on the back of Mr. Hunter. You can barely even see Miss Crowell's. I think they're discussing Halloween costumes. Because Mr. Shapiro's really excited about his. He's giddy back there. He's almost bouncing up and down. I actually have no clue what they're talking about here. So, please don't think that my commentary is accurate. I just try to introduce levity at points when it's suitable. Yes, we saw Rob was in here a minute ago. I'm not sure if he's still here. He was here for the cross, for Whitney's spicy cross. He did mention that due to the holiday, that takes precedence, and there will be no Law and Lumber recap tonight. So enjoy the festivities if you choose to partake. Mystery says it looks to me like he's busting defense's chops. I don't know. Poor Mr. Hughes. He took a beating already today at the hands of Mr. Whitney and possibly the judge as well. It's really bad when the last 4 questions you ask your witness on direct are objected to, and sidebars happen after each one, and then you have to just say no further questions and go sit down. The big finish you want is just not there. And he struggled today. And I mean, Mr. Whitney was on it. So poor guy. I mean, everyone I'm sure has their ups and down days. This was not an up day for Mr. Hughes. Anderson's not there. Anderson's actually gone. He is preparing his rebuttal right now, and the judge has instructed him that he has to limit his rebuttal to 2.5 hours. That's how much time he has, and no more, no less. Judge is talking to. He's looking right at the camera. I'm not sure. It looks like he's talking to me. I felt like he was looking into my soul there for a minute. Oh, man. If anyone wants to see a chill stream tonight, go to Torin 3. He's working on a Takati braid. I'm not sure what a Takati braid is. But Marmar, thanks for the suggestion. Nice chill stream for Halloween. Gigi, yes, both sides have been fighting so hard, and these guys, they are operating on little to no sleep, and it's been that way for a month. I mean, every day that we're here in court with them, they have to be on the tip of their game constantly. I mean, they're pressure constantly, things that are changing. They have to be on top of everything, and then they go home, but they don't really go home. I think all of them. Who said this the other day? But all the lawyers were staying within 15 minutes of the courthouse in hotels. And they're all right there, and they're working. And it's not just overnight; it's over the weekends as well. It's nonstop work, and preparing for the next one, and strategizing, and rehashing everything, and making sure you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's, and that every piece of evidence has been admitted as it should be, that you haven't left something glaring out, because it's all too easy to do that, especially on a huge trial like this. So they are operating on no sleep. This is just. I mean, we gave Mr. Shapiro a hard time because he's got a vacation schedule for the day this ends, but they all should be on vacation the day this ends. It's been a long one. Hey, little R.A. That's a cool outfit. That's going to be your costume? She came in and asked me in an almost accusatory tone if I had been the one that ate all the Reese's Pieces that she had set aside. I only had 2. And I have the receipts to prove it. I have the wrappers. Hang on one sec. That would be awesome. Here, let me give you my camera. Okay, make sure you take a picture in, do you know what landscape mode is? Like this. Okay, make sure. My daughter's going to go take a picture. Zoom in so you just see their house. No street signs or anything.
Are there other issues that we need to address today ourselves here?
No. Has there been a determination on Richards yet? Or Newberger?
Yeah, who are they calling, Judge? That would be helpful to know for rebuttal.
Dr. Newberger tried to call me at lunch, but I didn't have time to discuss. He indicated last Friday that he should be well enough to give some Zoom testimony this week. I'll email defense counsel tonight once I learn the answer to that. Dr. Richards, I don't know. That's a Mr. Anderson question.
You have to, by 6, 7. We got to prepare.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. By 6 or 7, we'll have answers on Richards and Newberger.
How about no later than 6?
Okay, no later than 6, we'll have answers on those.
And let's talk about what's happening tomorrow.
Oh, we have 2 witnesses, Judge, 2 nurses. We don't anticipate, they're not PICU nurses. We don't anticipate them being particularly long on direct, depending on the cross. That's why we think we should be done before noon. And then we have a short, 10 minutes or less of the...
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes of testimony that we were going to publish.
Of the plaintiffs.
15 minutes would probably be on the one. It's under 20, whether it's 8 minutes or 12 minutes or 15. It's in that range.
So we don't see any reason why we wouldn't be closing, hopefully before noon. Resting.
Depending on the cross.
Depending on the cross of the nurses.
And besides the 2 that we just talked about before 6, you've got Maya Kowalski, Jack Kowalski,
Dr. Corcoran, Dr. Newberger, maybe Dr. Rich. There's someone else I'm forgetting. That's all I would call at the moment. But again, if there's any changes to that, we will let them know by 6 p.m. I think that's the complete roster.
We are going to ask for very brief proffers. I mean, I don't want to waste the court's time now about it because it's late. I have difficulty envisioning what Dr. Richards could talk about in rebuttal since we didn't call a psychiatrist. But, so anyway.
Okay. And how many more exhibits does the
There's just a couple.
defense have?
But seriously, I'm going to withdraw 3228. We're not adding any more to this list, to my knowledge, Judge. So I think
We should be, my suggestion is when we talk, but we could be here by 8:30.
I think if we were here at 8:30, we can easily deal with exhibits. And by then, we hope to have, we're going to try and have at least to the plaintiff, the completed exhibit.
The Excel
so I
sheet.
Understand it, chart. And then we are going to want to confirm, and maybe we could do that Thursday. I don't know if we can do it Thursday morning. We are going to want to confirm what we have in, just confirm that we have the correct understanding of what's in and what's not. When would we do that, Judge?
Well, Thursday morning, I'm going to be sitting here doing jury instructions.
Right.
So, so long as you're quiet, I don't mind. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that while I'm doing jury instructions or not. Otherwise, perhaps after that.
Do we have to sit
Are the
here
plaintiffs
quietly?
going to have any other exhibits in their rebuttal case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do we have a list, and have you provided it to the defense?
We will have a list. Ms. Lawrence and I were discussing that, and we'll have that to them this evening.
By what time?
8 p.m.
He's just choosing a time. You want 7.
Can we try it by 7?
Hunter wants 7.
All right. 7 p.m.
Did Mr. Hunter lose his voice? I have not heard
Before the sun
word
goes
from
down.
him.
How about that?
We'll take 7 p.m.
I don't think that's Southern anymore.
Well, we have to trick or treat.
Okay.
Well, the exhibits could be.
And then
Leave that out.
I didn't hear it. The Kushners on your list. Are they not?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Ms. Kushner and Mr. Anderson's at home. I don't know if he's been able to make contact with her, but yes, to the extent we can get her here, we will call her for the targeted testimony that was discussed.
Okay, is she live?
I don't know the answer, not having been there to prep this afternoon.
Mr. Anderson is
It's either going to be live or by Zoom, it sounds
prepping
like.
your rebuttal witnesses.
Can I ask, maybe counsel can connect with Mr. Anderson briefly? Maybe he knows the answers to some of these questions, and then we'd have them a lot earlier.
Sure, I'll be right back.
They're asking.
Why don't you put them on speakerphone?
All right.
They're asking Mr. Whitney to call in
Well,
right
he doesn't
now.
know how to use Do Not Disturb, so we're going to get his voicemail first, and I'm going to try again. But here we go.
I just thought he might know the answers to these questions.
Better not be on speakerphone right now. Better preface this, because if he's like, "What the blank do you want now?" Oh my, this could end badly.
I guess Alina Kushner will be here live. Hey, Greg. Everyone's asking to hear from you.
Tell him he's on speaker.
Hold on. We're here in the courtroom, and you're on speakerphone. The question, I think, we just learned that Alina Kushner will be here live, correct?
Correct.
And then Dr. Richards, are we planning to call him tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. I have Dr. Newberger, Dr. Richards, Dr. Corcoran, Alina Kushner, Maya, and Jack. I think that's the complete list, right?
7?
At this point, it's the complete list. We have some options here and there, but we've run out of time, I believe. So I can't promise that we won't substitute or put another person in.
Hey, Greg.
In other words,
Greg, let me cut you off. The ruling is we have to tell them by 6 p.m. this evening.
all right, here it is. If we can't get Newberger, Chopra's going to do it.
All right, and we'll have that answer by 6 p.m.
As soon as
Miss
we get in touch with Eli.
Crowell's did not.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Chopra's going to do what?
The question is, what is Dr. Chopra going to do is a question from the court.
Dr. Chopra will rebut the ketamine, that there are addictive properties and withdrawals, mostly withdrawal symptoms, as the ketamine, and refute that. He will also talk about refuting at least one of the doctor's testimony as to the method in which they took care of Maya. And you're going to ask me specifically what it is. I don't know that right now. He just mentioned to me that he had an opinion on it.
Judge, can I ask the court? My understanding of rebuttal is that it's to rebut new evidence. It's not to come back in and repeat your opinions that you've already testified to. You don't get to come in and repeat your case.
I tend to agree with Ms. Corrales.
That's really the heart's of the dilemma, is it not? Because on one hand, I can't just simply come in and repeat my case, but on the other hand, if I introduce anything new, then I'm being accused of hiding things. So the best I can do is put on my witnesses and ask the questions. And I'm sure that the defense will object if there's anything objectionable, and the court will rule. But other than that, I can't do anything about it.
Judge, that's why we're
this is not an advisory ruling, but my general view of rebuttal is you are rebutting an issue that was raised by the defense, and it's not a let me say what I've already said again.
Oh, yeah. You've made that clear, Judge. You've made that absolutely clear.
And I intend on, and if you attempt to just do that, I will sustain. So, be targeted with what you're doing.
Yes, sir. You've made it very plain on both my deadline in terms of time and what you expect in terms of rebuttal. I will tell the court, though, please keep in mind the horns of a dilemma for me in terms of rebutting things. Witnesses tell me things after they see the defense's case, and I want to put them on. Did I know them at that time? Well, I didn't know to ask the question to get whatever the information is out of them. But I am limiting that as much as I possibly can to things that are directly in rebuttal to what they want.
Oh, Judge, it's not because you forgot to ask a question either. I'll leave it at that, Judge.
Mr. Anderson, if I may inquire, who's live versus who's by Zoom?
Chopra would be by Zoom. I think Corcoran would be by Zoom.
Corcoran will be live.
Yeah, Corcoran will be live. Okay. Then Maya and Jack will be live, and Elena Kushner will be live.
And Richards?
How about?
He'll be live.
Live, okay.
Okay. What was the time consumption of Paula Padron?
I just had it, Judge.
Okay, we need the shot clock here before we end day 2.
I lost the note.
She was under 10 minutes. You can give it all to us.
Greg, I'm going to let you go. You need anything from Mr. Anderson? You got Your Honor.
Okay. I'll give 5 minutes to defense on that and 0 to the plaintiff.
It doesn't matter.
They have so much time they can.
Okay, at this point in time, the plaintiff's consumed an hour, and they're at 59 hours, 25 minutes. The defense consumed 2 hours, 40 minutes, and at 41 hours, 20 minutes.
That's why we can take the 10 minutes.
And are we going to be able to wrap the rebuttal case tomorrow?
Did I hear that the court, we need to be out at 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock's today.
Tomorrow we can go.
Tomorrow we have jury instructions after we finish with court time, and I'm assuming
Hey guys,
whatever person is filing.
if you're still going to be rude with names, calling people names in court, we're going to ban you.
Addressed at that time as
We've
well.
asked you to stop. It needs to stop.
Judge,
I mean,
I would suggest it has to be done tomorrow.
we really need to get all evidence in tomorrow.
Well, if they rest before lunch in mid-morning, perhaps we understand the 2.5 hour limit for our case. Absolutely.
TikTok, yes.
We cannot control the cross-examination.
They understand that.
It seems doable, but I can't promise.
We're going to make it.
Well, Judge, my point is witnesses need to be here and ready and stacked up and ready to go.
I agree. We really need to finish all evidence. I need to be hearing both sides saying, I rest.
Yeah.
I rest.
Yes.
Before we walk out the door tomorrow. That really needs to happen.
Yep. Loud and clear, Judge.
Mr. Hunter.
Just briefly,
We
Judge,
can-
I spoke with the clerk.
We can make things that you say never
a year or
appear.
two ago, and I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood that we can cart off unused extraneous exhibits while the jury is deliberating after getting them from downstairs.
I just don't know which path we're going to be able to do, because I'm not going to want people going by where the jury is, and that would include, big carts of.
Right. Is that still? I have no idea what the floor plan was.
Well, but it's going to mean either going through a courtroom or maybe out the hallway at the end, and then they'd have to use the elevator, the public elevator.
Judge, I saw the second DCA is going to be here.
Next Thursday, the second DCA will be here for oral argument.
Where? I hear like this.
They will be in this building for coffee with the court in the morning. They will be seated for their oral arguments in the county commission chamber.
Oh, okay. I was envisioning this courtroom being taken over. Okay.
Originally, that was a plan, but it's going to be the county commission chamber.
Okay. Zoom is over.
Anything else?
I just want to talk with the clerks, Judge.
That's fine. But anything else for me before I'm out of here?
No.
Okay, have a good afternoon and happy Halloween for those who are going to go trick or treat.
All right. And they're done. They're done. Happy Halloween from the judge. Happy Halloween to everybody. That's great. Mods, thank you so much. Yes, anyone who's calling names or telling people how rude they are for calling names, we're blocking all those. The mods are going to do all the modding on here. We don't need chat to do mod work. The mods are working on it. If you guys are bringing the conversations up and calling names about other people, you're making the problem worse. We're trying to fix it as fast as we can, and repeat offenders will disappear and never appear on the channel again. Just a heads up. So please be respectful of everyone. Let's see. I apologize. That got out of hand while I was watching court, and had I known, I would have bailed the bailed the mods out a little sooner. Thank you very much. Did a great job. All right. Anything we need to talk about before we all break for the Halloween festivities? I know I have to go set up a sound system in the front yard. I was going to show you a little picture that my daughter just took. Let's see, where's that? Right here. This is my neighbor's house. You only see part of the house. But they've got these inflatables all over the place, and the porch like wraps around their house. They have many, many more all the way around the entire house. And then there's my house, and we have 4 pumpkins. So there's that. But anyway, we'll make do. What we don't have in decorations, we make up for with a sound system and plenty of candy. So I think no one will be complaining. Watch your words tonight. I will be so careful. I will be so careful. Names of the attorneys in the description. You want me to add the attorneys into the description of the video? I could do that. Song Chef says, check for a box at your PO box. No bugs, I promise. I will check. I'll check. I think I might be. Well, I think I've got time right now. My daughter would love to go. She loves to check the PO box. Let's see. Big thank you to the mods. Candy works. Cool. And what time tomorrow? That's I heard they said 8:30 is the start time for the lawyers. Did you guys hear anything different? That gives them half an hour to handle some documents and just some court paperwork. Then 9 o'clock for a jury start. So if you have to come late, you'll miss some of the paperwork discussion. But the jury start is at 9 o'clock. Be safe tonight. Please, if you are driving about tonight, please drive safely. Be on the lookout for little ghosts and goblins as they are running about and possibly in their exuberance might not make the best decisions as to when it's appropriate to cross the street. Just be so careful. Be so careful. This is a fun time. Hopefully everyone stays safe. Give everybody a little bit of grace. That 16-year-old who's definitely too old to come trick-or-treating, smile and just remember when you were his age, you probably did the same thing or at least wanted to. Give him some candy. It'll be all right. I hope all you guys have a fantastic Halloween. This has been a great day in court. I've enjoyed watching all this today, and I've enjoyed Mr. Whitney the most. I admit I've enjoyed him the most. We'll be back again tomorrow with more of this case. They should rest tomorrow. Defense should rest tomorrow, which is we're almost there. Almost there. Oh, a trunk or treat. Those are the best because you don't have any traffic issues. I tell you, I forbid my children from driving our cars anywhere on Halloween. It's like, no, you can't do it. Vern, thank you very much. Thanks for the super chat. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Kim R did a great job with the internet today. You're welcome to win it any day you're able. That's great. Bring the cat into the garage for Halloween. The garage is an Airbnb now. So it's no longer a garage. I don't have a place to put the cats. Luckily, Halloween is not very noisy where I'm at. And I think it could care less about all the inflatables and the costumes. It ignores anybody who doesn't have food for it. All right. Yes, on objections, we're at 1665. That's a lot, but we're going to go a little bit higher. We've got another day of this, and it's going to include all the way through closing testimony or through closing arguments. So at that point, as soon as the jury takes this under deliberation, that's when our contest stops and the count stops, and we're going to see who's the winner. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone. Make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning. We'll be up at 8:15, live at 8:15. We'll be singing happy birthday to all those who are celebrating tomorrow. Also, we'll be giving away the internet to the first person who types anything they want in chat. That's not quotes, anything you want, Greeners. Just anything in chat. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. It's been fantastic. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Because he's the guy.